We have to submit to the county regards to the organizational meeting and the results from the organizational meeting from tonight. I don't know if we can postpone it to another time.
Later tonight, at some point.
The board would have to make a motion to come back to it.
So you want to do a friendly amendment on that motion? That it will be later during this meeting, by the conclusion of this
You're
meeting.
going to bring it back.
By the conclusion of this meeting tonight, regardless if it's the same outcome or not.
Oh, we need to vote on that. Is there any discussion?
That's,
No discussion.
yeah, she had to do a verbal vote.
Without any further discussion?
No further discussion.
Just for clarification, Dr. Curry, can you also check with your lawyer about electing in absentia? That's what you clarified.
Yeah,
So there does not need to be any declarative acceptance.
they did not. That's what I mentioned.
Okay.
Yes.
That's correct.
You do a verbal? That's why they want to come back to it later tonight if she is present. So try-
If it just, like, if it is, if it's later challenged. Okay. If the decisions are later challenged, then we would revisit. And seconded. Trustee Little.
Dr. Little.
I would recommend that you could table it. Or you can come back to it with the vote, but you have to figure out, you can't say if it's challenged. It's either you have to table it or you're gonna bring it back for discussion. You could do a motion to say we have done this, however, we're gonna bring it back for discussion before the meeting is over. That's my recommendation.
Please accept the amendment as is with the revision by trustee Little and the recommendation of Dr. Curry.
I think you need to state the motion. The motion is to revisit the organizational meeting election prior to the end of the meeting today.
Okay.
Just say so.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
No further discussion.
I call the question.
The motion carries.
Now moving on to the. Do I need to make a motion to break?
Yeah,
Is there a motion to break for 10 to 15 minutes?
I won't make the motion that we take a break for 10-15 minutes.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion,
Please join us. 2 doors over.
can I have a verbal vote?
Lopez,
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
awesome. So there's a reception in the art gallery for the Board of Trustees, and we can, where's Ruben at? But it's right to the, so right to the right for 10 minutes for reception. Thank you.
if the minutes, the future minutes, if it could reflect that trustee Calhoun is now present. Now we're on item 10. There's no recognitions. Moving on to item 11, request to address the Board of Trustees on agenda and non-agenda matters. Do we have any on 11.01? Do we have requests to address the Board of Trustees on open session agenda matters?
Yes, we do. Benjamin Holyfield. Oh, Mika Black first.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Firstly, congratulations to Dr. Little, Trustee Ramos, and Trustee Dopplemore. Hopefully this is the first day of a super awesome term, right? I would like to say for the record, the Holyfield family is very appreciative of the unanimous vote in favor of the reinstatement of the Emily Hart Holyfield Library. Also a special thank you to Dr. Curry for making sure that we were all in compliance and going by policy. For the record, we would just like to request a tentative date for the placement of the name so that we can pass this information along to the community and we can make the proper invitations for those who would like to view the placement of the name or the finished product, just so that there's a line of communication between what the college is doing and the community. And in addition to that, we want to say that we are beginning stages of the research that is required to create the Emily Hart Holyfield Scholarship Program. This will be of no cost to the college. What we want to do is pay it forward and remind everyone this is more than just a name. The message is that everything she stood for was for the betterment of the community and for the students. And I was inspired by the November meeting in that we want to create something where we're not just throwing money at people and they're buying shoes or, whatever gadgets are popular, but we want to make sure that we're investing in graduation, transfer, or the receipt of a professional certificate. That's going to be our main goal. We're hoping to start small. We want to say a maximum of 10 students to ensure that we're successful. So we look forward to working with various directors of different departments and getting everyone's feedback on that opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Benjamin Holyfield.
Good evening. I want to thank you. I want to say that I feel very, very good tonight, and it's because of the college board. It's because of Dr. Carey and the board members. The reason I say this is because people are calling me from all over the world, really. Emily was the first woman on this board, first lady on the board, and now I'm looking at winners. And together we are going to really, she was always been a fighter. A week or 2 weeks before she passed away, she was fighting. Had a meeting over at this college, by the way, 2 weeks prior to her passing. A meeting right here. It took 8 years to have her name put back on this college. 8 years. My point is, she wasn't a quitter. When she took on a project, she worked with it. When she ran for the college board, she worked with it. She signed up for 2 years, wanted to go for 2 years, they put her for 4. My point is, she had been fighting all of her life. And this college board is fighters. Beautiful college now. And things are going the way she wanted them to go. We always was talking about it. And thank you so much. I'm so happy because every day you're telling the people that they're calling me and they're saying there's an ain't going back up. When is it going? And all that. So the community and my family, everyone really appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it for the speakers. Now moving on to 11.02 Compton Community College District Board of Trustees Future Agenda Items Requests. Do we have any requests from the board? Trustee Dopplemore?
Yes, for future agenda item, I would like to have an after action review of the FAFSA and CADA workshops that have been conducted for this year's season. And that would include the virtual and the in-person workshops.
Do we have any other items requests from the board?
Yes, I would like to, at some point, get a report around our professional certificates and vocational programs in terms of those with the highest participation and ways in which we see our students utilizing those certificates in their desired field.
Are there any other items requests?
Yes, for a future agenda, I would like for us to really look into more in-depth with our relationship with Compton, Linwood, and Paramount Unified School District. To see how we can have a better working relationship with them. Find out what are we missing that each one of those unified school district needs, and what do they actually need or want from us that they feel they're not getting or receiving. That's what I would like. And I know it's a future agenda. I'm not talking about February and March. I'm sorry. I think we need to find out what's going on.
Are there any other items requests? That's it for 11.02. Moving on to item 12, the Board of Trustees meeting minutes for November 21st, 2022, Board of Trustees meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So motion to approve the November 21st, 2022 board meeting.
I second.
It's been moved by Trustee Dopplemore and seconded by Dr. Little. Is there any discussion? Without any further discussion, I call the question. The roll call.
That's a unanimous yes vote.
The motion carries. Now moving on to item 13, reports from representatives and employee organizations. The first one, 13.01, Associated Student Government Report from Mr. Paul Medina.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, President Ramos, President Curry, esteemed guest. My name is Paul Medina. I'm currently the ASG president. I want to first foremost congratulate the newly reelected and newly actually sworn in trustees, Trustees Little, Dopplemore. Kendra Carnes, actually one of our new Trustees and Ramos, congratulations on behalf of Associate Student Government. So we reached that point of the year where it gets pretty slow. So and we purposely, obviously, because of finals, did not really like schedule a lot of events. At the last meeting was right before Thanksgiving. And so then we want to make sure that we focus on finals. So it's basically what ASG's been up to. But we are preparing for the upcoming semester. So we have a winter retreat underway, which we're planning on having sometime obviously during the month of January. Aside from that, I want to wish everyone happy holidays. Congratulations once again, and go Compton College.
Thank you. Now moving on to 13.02 Academic Senate Report from Dr. Minadora Moldavenu.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Curry. I would like to also start by congratulating our newly re-elected trustees and our new student trustee, Kendra Carnes. I had the opportunity of having her in my class this semester. I'm very happy that she is in the role that she is. We have a very, very capable student in that role. Congratulations, Kendra. I will keep our Senate report short today. The Academic Senate, in the last couple of meetings, we passed 3 resolutions, and there will be a 4th one coming at the beginning of the spring semester. One of our resolutions was in relation to the unresolved Artesia overpass, which continues to provide a barrier for students to access our campus. A second resolution was regarding implementing a study abroad program at Compton College. We had such a enriching experience when we went to Ghana. We would like our students to have a similar opportunity to study abroad in places like Ghana, Latin America, Europe, or wherever it may be. And the third resolution we passed was to extend student services provided particularly to our evening students who we believe currently don't have quite the same access as day students do, and we would like that to be reconsidered. The Academic Senate also voted on a low-cost textbook definition, and we took the advice of the Student Statewide Academic Senate of we voted on the $30 per text low-cost definition of textbook at Compton College. It will come as an action item for approval in the spring semester. And we have now concluded our semester. We will not meet again until beginning of March. However, over winter break, I will be hosting a couple of sessions where faculty can come work together on revising their student learning outcomes with a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens. We're definitely starting in that process. We've also created a rubric that faculty can start using. It will soon be implemented, where they revise the course outlines of record, which is the original map that all faculty use when they teach a course, so that it will have all of that diversity, equity, and inclusion in mind. And that concludes the Academic Senate report. We hope you have a wonderful holiday season. We'll see you in the new year.
Thank you. Moving on to item 13.03, the CCCFE Certificated Employees Report. Jeanette Morales. She's not present. Moving on to the next one, 13.04, CCCFE Classified Employees Report. Amenkwa McKinsey. And I don't see him either. That concludes item 13. Moving on to item 14, presentations. Dr. Curry.
Yes, I'm excited tonight about the first presentation. Last fall semester in September, we had a group of faculty members and Dr. Antonio Banks, who's Director of Black and Middle Class Success, went to the All Africa Educational Summit in Cape Coast, Ghana, and they're there for I think over a week. And so a part of their trip was to come back and provide a presentation to the Board of Trustees. And I would like to hand it over to Dr. Banks.
Good evening, esteemed board, Dr. Curry, guests. Like Dr. Curry mentioned, the group that you see here before you was commissioned by Dr. Curry to attend a week-long summit in Cape Coast, Ghana, where we are exposed to many different cultural and educational opportunities to expand our purview as it pertains to methodologies, pedagogy, and practices that could be successful for serving our Black students as well as all students at Compton College. Next slide, please.
Before we go any further, I would like us to start with a brief African proverb. It says, "To go back to the past is the first step towards the future." And I also have here an African symbol. It's the sankofa, and it is a bird.
Doctor, could you wait? Are all of you seeing the PowerPoint up there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay, we don't have it, but they have it. Yes, you're right. If you could please continue.
So I have the sankofa symbol, which is a bird that, although it faces forward with its body, it has its head turned towards the past. And of course, goes hand in hand with the proverb that I just stated. So our students, although many of them were born in the United States, the largest majority of them are not part of the standard American culture. They practice different cultures in their family when they spend time with family and friends. So technically, they are cultural immigrants in the United States. So we believe that by helping them become more grounded in the authentic version of their cultures, research shows that they will actually be healthier immigrants in the standard American culture. So that is the goal of what we hope to accomplish as a result of all of the learning that we've had during the conference, and now we're continuing to do past that.
So what you'll see before you is the overview of what we'll be covering this evening. We'll share a little bit about the summit mission and the vision, talk a little bit about the college team that was selected and how they were selected, the summit proceedings. So we'll touch briefly on the keynote speakers that were there at the summit, the cultural experiences that the group experienced, as well as some of the key findings, recommendations for future engagement with the summit by Compton College, and then we'll leave some room for questions and answers. Next slide, please.
Good evening, everyone. So just to summarize a little bit about the mission and the vision of this summit, the idea was for us here in the United States to really reconsider what education means, specifically a more African-centered educational process in which we no longer look at the curriculum from the beginning being slavery, but from an ancestral past of Africa. In addition to that, we worked with the Obokesi Foundation, which is a traditional cultural leadership system that is in Ghana, and we were able to participate with various cultural events. Also, this program was in celebration of the 700-year anniversary of Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca, in which he really reinforced the cultural legacy, cultural capital that comes from West Africa. So next slide, please.
I'd like to quickly introduce our team that went to Ghana. Thank you. Dr. Antonio Banks, the director of Black and Males of Color Success on our campus. And then we had 4 faculty members, Dr. Minadora Moldovianu, our academic senate president, and also a professor in communication studies, Jasmine Phillips, an assistant professor of human development, myself, Sarah George, I am assistant professor of English, and Nathan Lopez, an instructor in history and ethnic studies. What's not on this slide, though, is all of the other roles that we play on campus as well. So we have the co-chair of our newly established, or our reestablished FYE program. We have our honors represented here, the Student Success Center. So there was a lot of dialogue that happened here in terms of a lot of the programs across our campus and how these ideas can be implemented, not just in the classroom, but also in the way we imagine our programs moving forward. Next slide, please. I will briefly talk about some of the keynote speakers that we had. Every day of this summit was filled with presenters from various different colleges, from local, also from the host area in Ghana. But I want to talk about Dr. Chike Akua, the assistant professor at Clark Atlanta University. His keynote was titled "Making the Case to Change the Status Quo." And he really focused on what Nathan mentioned earlier about African-centered education and implementing that to ensure not just that students of the diaspora, but that all students can really learn better and be in an environment that is conducive to learning, whereas the Eurocentric view of education that has trickled down to us does not do that. One of his key quotes was education should be identity restoration instead of identity reformation. So really embracing students for who they are and making education something that allows students to find the identity that they already have rather than imposing from an outside perspective, which is the Eurocentric way. I could go on and on, but I will move on to Anthony Browder. Dr. Browder, his keynote speech was on real life 25th dynasty Kemetic African-centered projects. And he talked about specific ways to engage students to learn about the history of Africa. And again, as we mentioned before, not starting with the slave trade, but starting with what happened before that and what we have taken from African culture, such as starting with African ways of developing math before the Eurocentric way that we typically think is the beginning of mathematics. And he talked about some of the programs he has instituted to bring students to Africa, which again has influenced part of our plan moving forward. Atlantis Browder was his daughter, and she engaged in the dialogue as well, sharing how the way that he taught her and the way that he brought this to her has developed her sense of herself and her identity. And then she shared some of the work that she's created as an author. And then also Dr. Julianne Malveaux is the Dean of Ethnic Studies at CSU LA. And her keynote was effective, efficient plan implementation and empowerment, bringing African, and it was about bringing African stories and leaders back into the curriculum. And so not just talking about Eurocentric leaders from the past and Eurocentric authors, but bringing into dialogue with that, the African-centered way of approaching it. So bringing ancestral leaders of empowerment to show our students that the figures in history weren't just white and they weren't just male, but presenting that alternative, that more inclusive way of understanding all of our subjects. And one of her key quotes was, "Injecting revolutionary tactics into teaching is how we do this," which was kind of something that encapsulated a lot of what the summit was focused on. I'll hand it over.
So one of the biggest facets of this event was the cultural connections that we were able to make with the physical space of Ghana. On our first day, we visited the Cape Coast Slave Castle, which as a historian is something that we talk about often in my class, but it's a different experience to physically be in that space, to see the chalk marks of anthropologists coming down to measure the depths of human waste that was just building upon centuries of the slave trade. And so this gave us as the first night, this was our first day there in Ghana, it really opened the whole event to a more emotional connection, that this isn't simply another conference where we're learning about the educational pedagogy and everything that we continually talk about in terms of theory, but to connect this to an actual experience. And, like I said, as a historian teaching these things in my class, it really reformed the conversation that we can have, whether it's in history or ethnic studies, about the humanity that we need to talk about that was destroyed because of the actions of slave trade. And recognizing that one of the first things that some of us recognized was that the slave dungeons were right under the Christian church. And that deeply affected people. People were crying, people were wailing. It was something that was very piercing to one's whole soul identity and knowledge about what we saw. In addition to that, we were able to participate in a rite of passage. Dr. Banks here was one of the people chosen to be named during a naming ceremony, which we got to see the whole process in the city of Mori, which was the pre-colonial capital of Ghana. We also visited the Kakum National Park, or Forest, where we were able to really see the nature firsthand. We were able to cross some of these bridges that were built on top of some trees, and it was an experience, right? we were also able on our last day, before we came back, we were able to stop by Accra and visit the W.B. Du Bois Center, which his final resting place, and he's buried there. And it was a very emotional experience personally because of what his theories, what his writings, what his books have done just to reshape the way we think about our history as a country, as a people, in terms of culture and sociology, psychology, et cetera. Right, so next slide, please.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Phillips and I teach human development and African-American psychology. So this trip was very near and dear to my heart as it was a full circle moment. I went with Long Beach City College 20 years ago to Ghana for a summer study abroad. And I've always wanted to be able to provide that same opportunity to my students. So I jumped at the chance to go with my esteemed colleagues here and bond with them over this experience. So to start with some of the key findings, one of the things that really struck a lot of people in the group was that Dr. Akiche said, trauma unaddressed for generations can look like culture. And that really sunk in. We just took a breath on that and it sunk in. What do we look at and say, oh, that's this group of people or that group of people, and then it's just what they do, versus, I know I teach psychology, so it's like from a psychological lens, could that actually be trauma? Could that actually materialize trauma in their lives? And so because of my role as faculty professional development liaison, I said, what professional development can I bring or help bring to the college with that in mind? So first off, for the counselors, I thought, well, our students see our counselors, on a routine basis, and maybe our counselors need a little more information on what that could look like, and then what to address that, or ways in which to address that from an African-centered pedagogy mindset. So that was just on the counseling side. On the teaching side, I know I've seen students in my class where, because I have a clinical psych background, I was kind of able to mitigate certain circumstances with students. And I recognized what was actually going on with the student and in terms of their behavior. And so I said, well, if that is actually trauma showing up in that student in that class, can our other faculty also be trained in that way to recognize that and then to mitigate that, so that I know in the past, sometimes the police get called into our classroom, and that's not necessary if you identify what's actually going on. And so I identified that as one of the things that we could take back from, one of the influences we could take back from this training that we received. And I've met with Pilar and I've brought someone from the community that I know, a dear friend of mine, to do training, a series in the spring semester. So that's already in the works coming from this conference, the influence there. The next one, obviously, is study abroad. I've had many a conversation with Minadzora, finding out that, I study abroad, she studied, Sarah studied abroad, some other folks on campus have already studied abroad and are already on board with just understanding the benefit that will be for our students, giving them that opportunity. And so I know a lot of times the funding is put into question, like, well, how are we going to do this? What's the funding going to look like? So I have actually been attending some post-conference group meetings of folks who have come together from this conference and said, well, what do we already have in place? What structures already exist that we could then just partake of and help a community college that already has a study abroad program that wants to go back to Ghana and take our students in California? Can we participate with them and then eventually build our own structure and program and support for that here? And the answer is yes. So I've been meeting with them from Peralta Community College up north, and there is this idea that if we teach online already, then our students can be at the different colleges already, especially if they cross enroll through CVC OEI, and they can go as a cohort to Ghana while taking our classes online and get in-country experience while taking our classes and then not losing any time for a whole semester. Because that's always the other worry. Well, if they're going to leave, how long are they going to leave for? Are they going to wait, lose time in their educational planning? So those are the types of conversations that are happening that I'm taking part of, and hopefully bringing them back to Senate. And if not starting our own program at first, maybe participating and then starting our own program when we get the resources and the support. The third bullet point refers to culturally competent curriculum audits. I think this validates actually what Minadora was just saying about the DEI community that she's sharing. in order to look at the CORs, the course outlines of record, because one of the things that they mentioned is that as much as you could put it into your own class, you know, the African-centered pedagogy, the collectivistic mindset, the doing things as a community, the helping each other instead of thinking the person to your left or the right might not be there when you graduate, but you will, you know, the doing it as a community, that can happen in one class, but it would be more effectful over time if it was done on the COR, because every faculty member who teaches that class after you is supposed to look at that COR. So it validates the work that we are doing on her committee to make sure that they are DEI components embedded in the COR. So that's what that bullet point refers to. The next one, culturally relevant and competent speaking styles. Do you want to mention communications aspects there?
Yes, and I know I've already started my reading list. I've already purchased a couple of books that I can start over winter reading. One of them is Communication, Race and Family. Another one is Black and White Conflict Styles. These are aspects that I can already start incorporating in my own classes. So you'll see even on the next page, we're also hoping to create communities of practice so that the faculty from each specific subject can look at how else can I incorporate this information or more culturally relevant information in their own classes and make material very pertinent to our students.
Thank you. And I also purchased this book and read it. It was very good. Very good. Yes.
This is from one of the keynote speakers.
Yes,
Chike Akua.
Dr. Achike Akua. The last bullet point, Dr. Achike Akua has a list of resources that he was able to provide for us. So I teach psychology, and so I asked him, like, can you give me a list of resources that I could use in my class directed to my subject? Now, since I teach African American psych, I already knew about half of those, but in English and communication studies and histories, anybody, we shared his information, anybody can email him, and he has a list of Afrocentric pedagogical teachings in all of these subject areas, like a resources or reading list that the faculty can then use to influence their course readings. I think it's important that that happens because sometimes we broke out into different groups when we were there. We had policy group and we had, you know, pedagogical groups for teaching, et cetera. But if it doesn't influence in the subject matter, then, you know, and that's where rubber needs to hit the road in terms of the students. So I found it very useful that he already had, you know, maybe in a subject you might not even think, like math, like, well, how do I integrate Afrocentric pedagogy in math? Well, he has a list of resources for that. So the last bullet point was that, and we've shared his information so that faculty can take advantage of that.
Next slide. We have a few more findings. I'm not going to focus on all of them or else we'll be here until midnight. But I will focus on a couple of them. The first one is to continue to dismantle Eurocentric educational practices by providing education for social justice. So a lot of our just everyday practices, we don't realize this, but they're very Eurocentric. From the moment that you have strict deadlines, that's a very Eurocentric way of doing things. African cultures, Latin cultures, Native American cultures, they're a little looser, right? So there's just one example, like how many of the practices that I have in my syllabus, in my course are Eurocentric. We need to get together, we need to identify what those are, and we need to challenge them, right? Is it more important that my students meet that deadline, or is it more important that they learn it before the end of the semester, right? So we'll have to prioritize. Education for social justice, shedding light on the injustices, on why they happen and identify solutions. For example, in my communication courses, the last speech of the semester is the persuasive speech. And I encourage students to pick topics where they're very relevant to what the issues, the social issues today. Not only do I want them to pick a problem and find solutions for it, but I want them now to identify how is that problem disproportionately impact different groups, because all problems don't affect everyone equally, right? So kind of bringing attention to those injustices in our world and also finding solutions for them. Focusing on students' cultural contributions to subject matters. So, you know, what have Africans contributed to the communication studies field, to the psychology field, to the mathematics field, to ethnic studies. Deconstructing testing culture is another one of them. A lot of us testing ways that we were tested on when we were going to school, but are there better ways? And is there only one way to test knowledge? My students just completed their interpersonal, and I have a witness. They just completed their final exam for interpersonal communication. They could take that test in 3 different ways. They could do multiple choice true or false and a couple of short answer questions. They could do all short answer questions, or they could do a take-home essay. Because different things were better for different students, and students got to choose which one worked best for them. And one of the last ones is the second to last one is social and emotional learning. At the core, students are primarily human beings, and then they're students. And we know that they come from, a lot of them from, they have had trauma, they have had discrimination and abuse in their life. And it is so important that we help them build their emotional intelligence, which turns out research shows that is even more important in how they will succeed in life than their actual IQ. Also, the IQ stops developing at the age of 18. EQ does not. Emotional intelligence, you can continue developing throughout your entire life. So, and it is through courses like human development that we help them build that capital that they need in order to be functional and highly functional human beings in our society. And I will now we will move on to the next slide.
What are the recommendations for future engagement? We recommend that we continually take part in these opportunities. They will be continuing, going back to Ghana to further the work. But we also would like support in creating the learning communities, because a learning community model is an Afrocentric model. So I know in our FYE program that we are starting up, I'm the co-chair with Dr. VP Jones, and she and I have been talking and getting faculty feedback and feedback from constituent groups about how best to support our students through the learning community model. And although it might not be an Afrocentric learning community, just the concept there in and of itself is a African-centered pedagogy. So we would like support in continuing to develop our FOE program. And then we've already mentioned the study abroad opportunities that we would recommend as being a great opportunity for our students to get that experience.
So with that, we come back to what we began with. To go back to the past is the first step towards the future. So it is vital that we build the structure where we're helping our students become better acquainted and better rooted in the authentic African culture and not in the imitation African culture tainted by slavery, discrimination, injustice, and trauma.
Few last tidbits that I wanted to share regarding this.
Let's see that GK book real quick.
One thing that we didn't mention was the fact that we actually had the opportunity to take Compton College scholars actually to Clark Atlanta University this summer, where Dr. Chike Akua was one of the main faculty members who helped curate that program. And so we actually have Compton College scholars right now who are working around with this knowledge embedded in them. And they've come back and talked to me time and time again about the impact that this book and that course had on their trajectory and their perspective of life. One of the other things that I want to highlight before we got out of here was really just the impact of being in the country of Ghana, right? And it allowed all of us to gain a lot of perspective, right? Although there were many great opportunities for engaging and things like that, there were a lot of areas that were impacted by colonialism and, you know, the remnants of that. And we saw a lot of disparity and things like that in the country. And there were so many students who were at the university who were just appreciative for us being there and sharing just our knowledge with them. But just to put into context some of the ways that we're privileged here in this country, we had a student ambassador that we worked with throughout our trip. He was a graduate student. He was taking his year off because they have to do a year of service before going into graduate school. And he shared with us that he was struggling to figure out how he was going to pay for his tuition for that upcoming year, because it has to be due in full at the beginning of the year. His tuition for a year, including room and board, $350. So we were able to figure out a way amongst our group to help support him in that, but really just granted us even additional perspective on the privileges that are afforded to us. And again, with that, we wanted to thank you all for supporting this, Dr. Curry for convening this group, Ruben, who was here, I think he left, but the business processing office was great in helping us get this together. on the buzzer beater because it was really close, but we made it happen. So thank you all for your support and your dedication to making this happen.
So this is
Thank
just
you.
Our contact information. Do you have any questions for us?
Trustee Calhoun?
Oh, my goodness. I loved everything that you ladies and gentlemen was talking about. I know that trip was very enlightening. I know it was eye-opening. The things that you talked about, okay, I gotta get your name. Professor, I'm sorry. The things that you talked about, I knew them. I have not been to Ghana, but in growing up, read the history and knew the history. And it's always amazing, like you say, you can read it all you want to, but when you get there, you actually see it and how it affects you. And you say like, I didn't know that. But a lot of people don't know it. But a lot of us was taught the history of our motherland and our mother country. And I'm glad that you ladies and gentlemen had the opportunity to go. And I hope that you go again. And I hope that you take others with you. Students, whatever, we need to figure out a way. And I like that, when you said $300, when I thought you was getting ready to say some money. And when you said, did you say 350 or 300? 350, I'm going like, huh? But no matter what the cost is, depending on where you're going or what country or state you're in, it is a struggle, no matter what the cost was. And when you said three, I thought you were getting ready to say 3,000 or 30,000. When you said, it's like that. But I'm glad that y'all went. I'm glad that y'all represented Compton College. And I look forward to everything that you brought back and what you're doing and what you're going to be doing with your students. I just give y'all kudos. Thank you, because it was different. How was the food?
Great.
Okay. Did you try some of the native dishes?
They cook goat really, really.
Okay. I was going to ask you about the goat.
Thanks, that fufu.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the fufu.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's all I had. I just want to,
Thank you.
I'm glad that you ladies and gentlemen went. And I'm looking forward to you to go to Ghana again and any other section that's part of Africa. Maybe one day we can get their students to come here on a cross-country junket and see here so that when they go back there, they'll realize the advantages or however it go. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Trustee Lopez? Trustee Dopplemore?
Yes, I'm over here writing feverishly. So yes, I have a lot to say, but I promise I will be brief. What I just wanted to say to you guys when I read this, when I saw the presentation, I just want to impress upon you guys first, thank you for taking the time away from your family and your loved ones and your responsibilities here to go on this trip, and also to take our students for them to experience that. I just cannot, imagine. I have not been myself, but I can just imagine how powerful actually seeing some of those things with your own eyes and being able to experience it firsthand. So that's very powerful. And just thank you also for clarifying the communication. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying the communication piece, because I did have a question about that. And just my thoughts on that is being able to communicate to students and faculty with that level of cultural competency, right? With our students. that's powerful, right? And that allows you, with being able to recognize some of those things and take that engagement, if you will, right? Whether it's verbal or nonverbal, to take that below the surface to get to know a person. That's huge. And some of the outcomes that are produced with the student is one, a sense of pride, right? So now they're motivated, they have greater focus, right? And it produces some of those successful outcomes that will take place in the classroom and as outside of the classroom, because we're all, in the end, we're all, human beings, right? So we all have our different cultures and our different, things that we bring to the table. But I think that that's very powerful when you can meet that individual where they are when you're dealing with them, right? Because you have no idea, especially now post-COVID. I know we talk about this a lot. Our students are dealing with a lot of different things, right? So that gives you the opportunity to go below the surface, like I previously stated. So I think that's very rich, and I made note of that as well. But as far as looking at some of the other activities and ways that we can continue and engage, say until the next cohort is formed or until we put together our own program, is maybe if you guys, this is just a suggestion, think about if there's like some type of program, maybe like a series where you can have folks come in a panel discussion or some other type of activities or events on campus. So the other students can also, especially why it's very fresh in your mind, right? And in your heart. And then, so my question now finally is, with all the DE&I and A, how can we put those together with what we presently have and what you guys experienced and kind of make our own type of, say, if you will, our own level of understanding of our, here at Compton College, what is going to be our mandate for how we bring these things and put them to life, right? So it's kind of like us writing our own culture to say, like, this is how we're going to do things at Compton, not just with folks from the African diaspora, but with all of our other cultures that we have here as well. So that would just be my question, food for thought. But again, I thank you so very much for everything that you have shared with us tonight. And that's all.
Dr. Little?
Yes, I'll keep it as quick as I can. Thank you guys so much. This was just fantastic. For one, would love to jump in all of your classes because I think it's going to be so powerful. As I was listening to you, Dr. Minadel, talking about the 3 testing options that allow for different learning styles. The quotes that were so powerful in the sense of identity restoration rather than identity reformation, and the sense of a student walking in empowered and culturally affirmed versus as an empty vessel that has to be in some way acclimating or acquiescing just to learn. That trauma unaddressed for a long time may look like culture. Wow. Because when you think about this work, especially inclusion, you have to keep that lens because you may be trying to affirm, right, a reified culture that's really trauma-based. And it also brought me back 2013 as a faculty member, had an exchange with the school in Accra High School, where my USC students thought that they were going to be the teachers. And these young students were just brilliant. And it made me think about ways in which it could be embedded into the curricula, because we did not have an experiential exchange as part of it, but we did a group project and presented on it at different conferences. So I would love to see this presentation maybe written up at different conferences and talking about how the pedagogy gets embedded and just the different projects. We also had a full trip planned for 2020 to go to Ghana, but COVID But what was so important was how our students experiencing the space. And I share with them, I didn't travel out of the US until I was over 40. But the transformational experience it is imperative. And I think more experiential learning, even within our space, is important. And so it would be great to see how the faculty at large will begin to embed these practices and the accountability around that. So thank you.
Trustee Carnes?
No.
I just wanted to say thank you for this presentation. It felt short, but as all my colleagues said, it was just a lovely presentation, and I'm sure your short presentation, it didn't capture everything that you experienced, but it was amazing, and thank you for bringing this to us. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Now moving, Dr. Curry.
Before the break, we talked about the organizational meeting. Oh, sorry.
We're just moving along with the schedule.
Okay. Are you going back to the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the next one.
The next item is the Veteran Services. Keith Cobb, Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name is Keith Cobb. Good to see you all again. And I'm here to present on the Veteran Resource Center and what we've been doing in the past, this past semester. Next slide, please. I'll discuss the Veteran Resource Center, the services. We have some staff updates. Our active veterans, certified vets, and how many vets we have on campus, and some of our retention and strategy issues. Next slide, please. So our Veteran Resource Center is found in row F19, but starting January 3rd, we'll be in the new Student Service Building and have our own location. In the Resource Center, we assist veterans to transition into civil life and learn to navigate the California Community College system. Our Veteran Resource Center supports the success, retention, and educational needs of our students. Next slide, please. Some of the services that we provide are we explain and help veterans understand their benefits and the information for themselves as well as their dependents. We help them with the admissions applications, the financial aid applications. We have academic and personal counseling. Recently, I'll explain, we hired an adjunct counselor, and we assist with campus navigation, and we help them with successful resources and retention skills. The next slide, please. Some of the workshops that we offered, we currently provide in-person as well as virtual workshops at various times. We brought in Cal State Fullerton Veteran Ambassador Program to help educate our vets on how to transfer to the Cal State system. We've had a workshop on peer-to-peer supports, improvement on mental health, self-reliance, resilience, and pursuit of wellness. So we had a workshop on that. We provided a workshop. We provide workshops on FAFSA. And this last week of the semester, we hosted a week of de-stress. So allow our veterans to come in, get something to eat, just kind of de-stress for the week of finals. Next slide, please. The week of November 11th, the week of Veterans Day, we offered a week of workshops and so forth. We recognized our vets. Some of the workshops, we had resume and cover letter, open clinic, FAFSA for veterans, LinkedIn. We helped students create a LinkedIn account. We had some peer support, and we had a luncheon for them and recognized them. And we had a luncheon and served the students as well. Next slide. We currently are working with the Veteran Resource Center coordinator at Cal State Fullerton, and to help build relationships and transitions to the Cal State system. On October 26th, that's what I mentioned before, the veteran ambassadors came here and provided a workshop for our students. Some of the future workshops we plan on having is like a veterans transfer panel. And we want to open up to more Cal State universities in our local area, like Long Beach and so forth. Next slide, please. We have two current staff members. One's an adjunct counselor, and she helps with academic responsibilities for the students and stays in touch with them. She cold calls the students, helps them with education plans and just any kind of counseling that they may need. We also have a veteran resource part-time coordinator. She's also one of my financial aid coordinators, and she's the certified vet to help certify the veterans and their benefits. Next slide, please. So we currently have 42 veterans enrolled at Compton this semester. Excuse me one second. However, out of the 42, we have 42 identified and only 32 are Compton College students. So they self-identify by filling out the CC apply application. So it's not really that they might be a vet, or then sometimes they just fill in the blank. So the 32, the 7 are currently enrolled. So the difference, the other 7 are currently enrolled students that don't qualify for their benefits. So they're just like taking one class here, but their primary school is at another school. So they're getting their benefits from the other school. And then currently for the fall semester, we have 11 veterans that are receiving their benefits here. Moving into the spring, we already have 3 signed up and they've been certified to receive their benefits, and spring enrollment is just starting. So I expect that for us to at least have 11 because we have them in the fall, if not more. Some of the degrees and programs that they're enrolled in are nursing. Some want to be teachers, psychologists, computer science, child development, automotive, and business. And then looks like majority of them are general studies where they really don't know what they want to do yet. So they're basically undeclared. Next slide, please. Some of the retention strategies that we're offering currently right now is veteran-specific events and workshops, reminders about important deadlines, including the FAFSA, connections to campus services like EOPS, tutoring, and what have you. And then just regular communication. Our adjunct counselor makes a weekly notification she sends out and just continues to educate our veterans and the campus on events and things that we have for the students. Next slide, please. And that's the end of my presentation.
Trustee Carnes?
No questions.
Trustee Calhoun?
So you say that you work with Cal State Bulletin, correct?
Currently,
So I know that at one time, when you did your slides, I gave out different organizations and
you are correct. So may I address some of that? Yeah, I know.
no, yeah, so I told you about the
Boots on the ground. I think.
Gardena one.
Yeah.
And I know that might be out of our area, but
Mhm.
is the Gardena one still there? And do they still deal with vets right there on Redondo Beach Boulevard past Vermont,
So I
right
do-
there in that corner?
So I do have our veteran certified vet in the financial aid office reaching out to the local communities. I don't know if that one's specific, but I do have a list, and I didn't bring it tonight, that I can provide at a later date of who we are in contact with and get back to you. But also I wanted to mention that just on December 2nd, we also went to San Pedro and they had a vet stand down and we had representation there. And prior to that, we had Compton hosted a vet stand down, and it's not in the slide, and we represented it. We had representation there as well. Because I remember you encouraged the vet stand down.
Yeah. And explain to me again about the benefits. You said they don't get the benefits from one place, but they get them from another place. Is it
So-
because they don't qualify? You lost me.
Yes, ma'am. So they're concurrently enrolled. So they're taking maybe just a 1 3-unit class here and maybe 3 3-unit classes. So they're full-time at another institution. And so therefore they have to receive their benefits from that full-time, their primary campus.
Oh, okay. I want to make sure. And then I had one other question. That event was held here at the college?
Which one?
Uh,
This,
You talked about an event. The luncheon and everything else was here on our campus?
yes, ma'am, in our VRC, in our Veteran Resource Center.
Oh,
So we had the luncheon for our vets that are currently enrolled.
oh,
We recognized them. We had a whole week of activities for them.
oh. I wasn't aware. Not that I need to be, I can't be into everything, but I was
Yes, ma'am.
just curious if it was, I'm into veterans, as you know,
Yes, ma'am.
because I used to do a veteran stand-down
Right.
for almost, all the way up until 2010. I did a veteran stand-down where we had thousands of veterans, and I worked with a lot of nonprofits all over, West LA VA, Long Beach VA. So do you reach out to them for the veterans to be able to attend our college or other colleges? Because I know we work together with different colleges.
Yes, we're in communications. When you say the local communities or the other schools? Sorry, I didn't catch
It
that.
could be either one.
Yeah, we're trying to get our name out in everything, the local communities, as well as we're trying to partner with other schools, because we're also trying to gain knowledge of how we can better our program. So we're reaching out to other veteran resource coordinators and seeing what they're doing, works for them, see if it works for us as well.
Is that the Cabrillo that you deal with in San Pedro? Cabrillo where the veterans are at?
I don't know exactly the
Okay.
name of the
It's,
thing
you
of the
don't,
flyer.
I don't know everything. You don't have to know everything. I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, okay. That was good. Thank you for the report.
Thank you.
Very good. If I can get any of those other numbers, I will give them to
Oh,
Dr.
yes, please do, or
Give-
directly to me, either way.
Dr. Curry.
Okay,
Dr. Curry can give them to you.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Veterans have my heart,
Yes,
and they have been. That's why I started the first homeless veteran stand down in Compton when I was on the Compton City Council.
thank you.
Biggest one, largest one ever. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Lopez? Trustee Dopplemore?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Cobb. How are you this evening?
Doing well, thank you.
Great presentation as well. So I just wanted to, I'm going back to the counselors and the coordinators, with some of the other services providing. Are they also providing, addressing possibly if they've seen it come up, do you know, if, the high rates of suicide with our veterans? Do you know if that has been something that that they have had to deal with, and how are they addressing that?
Yeah, we're partnering up with, we've partnered up with St. John's,
Okay.
which is on campus. So we've given resources and referrals to St. John's. And since we're not doctors or certified, we leave it to the professionals. But yes, we've made contacts with St. John's. They've came in and done some presentations for us as well. And so we have flyers and so forth that we can give to our veterans, and then to anybody that comes in the office and refer them to St. John's.
Okay, thank you. And then the veterans that are receiving their direct benefits, the
Yes.
ones where this is their primary campus.
Yes.
When when those students transfer in, or when those students come here, are the VRC,
Mhm.
are they assisting those veterans with transcribing their military work into their civilian
That's correct.
education as well?
Yes, our new adjunct has that experience, so she knows how to, the hours that they worked or what have you, to get credit for units here at Compton as well. Yes.
Okay, and then just one last question about the partnership or the engagement. I know you said that you're looking to improve the office and look and see how other campuses are doing it.
Mhm.
If you could just speak upon the relationship and why Cal State Fullerton was chosen.
I don't know that.
Okay.
So.
Okay, never mind,
yeah.
never mind.
No, just because,
Say, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. Because I just wanted, again, we have, just really quick, we have where we had the Compton, stand down. There's ton of veteran support services at that campus.
right.
And I know we also have Dominguez, and I know that Long Beach has a very robust veteran support system as well. And I'll let you speak, sorry.
I can answer that question now because I just remembered our adjunct counselor came from Cal State Fullerton. So she probably had a relationship already. Now that she's here, she reestablished the connections. Yeah. Mhm. You're welcome. Thank you. Yes, we'll be in touch. I appreciate you. I'm telling you.
Dr. Little?
Thank you so much for the report. Just one quick question. You have the 42 currently enrolled, and I know there were 11. Is there a gender breakdown? You have the degrees. Is there a gender breakdown of the veterans?
We did that. Okay.
You
So,
can get that at a later time.
yeah.
I'm just
And,
wondering.
Dr. Senseko is our director of institution research. So yes, we could provide that information for you.
Okay.
We'll put that as one of our follow-up items, Dr. Little, and we have the information for the January board meeting.
Thank you so much, because I was just wondering what are some of the other programs that could be integrated with these services, and how many of our students are accessing multiple services that could give them a more holistic support system. And then definitely appreciate the relationship with Cal State Fullerton, and would love for us to leverage some of those local resources just because of proximity and the ways in which we can draw in more students potentially. So thank you so much for the work.
You're welcome.
Trustee Dopplemore?
I'm sorry, Mr. Cobb, just one other, line item I just wanted to say. Is there do you also provide a list? Because a lot of our, and I'm thinking in terms of cost. You see, I didn't talk about the financial aid, but we're gonna just say with cost. Is there a list, with the VRC? Is there a list of scholarships that are, available that our veterans can also, access to help, offset the cost of their education?
So we have the Compton College Scholarship Program here.
Mhm.
It's a foundation and it's a variety of scholarships, but it's not specifically for veterans. It's for all our students. So
Mhm.
they're more than welcome. We educate them on that in our FAFSA workshops. We talk about financial aid and how to apply for scholarships as well. So that's included, but not specifically for veterans.
Mhm.
We are looking into providing like book loan vouchers and
Mhm.
food vouchers moving forward for our veteran students, though, specifically for them.
I would just like to, say, and just add as a recommendation.
Yeah.
That there are, if you could look at those different, pockets of, and this is just all up for everyone, right? Just like you would look for student, for students of certain cultural backgrounds.
Yes.
Also, there's additional scholarships out there that our veterans are, that's available for them as well.
Okay.
Board President, Ramos?
Dr. Curry?
Just want to respond to Dr. Trustee Dopplemore's comments. I think it's important that we, at the board meeting in August of this past year, the board allocated based off the telecom settlement. I want to say it's close to $400,000 for scholarships. In the next month, we're going to be talking about scholarships and expansion scholarship program. So I could take this back to staff regards to maybe creating a scholarship just for veteran students as well. That's what I wanted to add to that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation.
And thank you for your service, Trustee Dopplemore.
Now moving on to item 15, the consent agenda. Is there a motion? It's been moved by Dr. Little, seconded by Trustee Dopplemore. And now it's open for discussion. Are there any items for discussion? Trustee Calhoun?
Well, Dr. Curry has answered the questions that I sent in, and they're out there on the table if anybody saw them. Right, Dr. Curry? Yes. They're out there on the table. Is anybody interested in the questions and what he answered? But there's still one that I still want to talk about, and that's 1519. So that would be mine. But if anybody wants questions and answers, you might already receive them. They're out there on the table.
I just wanted to make a clarification.
Okay.
The way, the way I set this, the way I took the motion was that it's all gonna be approved. What I should have asked beforehand was if anyone wanted something to be pulled separately, to be voted on separately. But if that's not the case, we could continue with the questions.
1519.
But you don't want it a separate vote, right? You just, you want to speak on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
But do we have to do a separate vote on each one?
no,
Just consent.
it-
Okay, gotcha.
action, most of those are
All
separate.
right. So it's just 15.
So we'll address them on the order. So if we could. Okay. And yours is?
So I'll just tell you more. So in mine, and it's just a clarification on mine. So mine is like 1511 down to 1515, and a few of the other ones that are in there. So just for a point of clarification, on 1512, all of the other book signings, they have a signature except for
Is your
Janet,
mic on?
except for. I have a second, I don't know. I'm sorry, Miss Sylvia. Except for 15-2. So 15-2, there's no signature on that one, if you look at it. And all the,
1502.
I'm sorry, 1512, on Miss Janice Miller, Cecilia Miller, there's no signature on hers. But all of the other ones, they have a signature, of course, with the date. So that's from 1510. So all those very similar ones, I just wanted to know why that one was different. That's one point. And the second point I wanted to know, are these all around an event or workshop? You know, for the students, is it around, because they're like in the spring. So are these centered around an event or cultural holiday? And because it also, it says that this is for, it's like to benefit the students. And then what segment of student is this for? Is this just for all the students, or is it? So that's
Sure,
really
sure.
kind of what I need.
Do you want me to, how do you want me to answer these first?
Oh, we'll just. take the-
They're just going in
we're-
order,
we're-
since mine are up
We'll
higher.
we'll just take the numbers down for now. So you said,
So starting with
1511
Miss Janice, 1512.
and all the way to 1516.
Yes, I was just doing a comparison with those two because hers is the only one that does not have a signature. Her name is not on the bottom. 1512.
Okay, 1512. Do you have any other numbers?
That's it.
Trustee Carnes,
No questions at this time.
trustee Lopez, Dr. Little,
1501.
I don't have any, so now going on to 1501, Dr. Little.
Yes, I just wanted to get clarification on some of the different distinctions that were approved in terms of the grading methods. What initiated that?
Vice
Dr.
President Berger?
So there was a change in Title V
Mhm.
for grading methods a while back that allowed us to adopt a pass, satisfactory progress, no pass grading method for non-credit classes. And it took a while for us to get our board policy aligned with the curriculum. So the curriculum was developed, and at the time, we didn't have that grading method.
Mhm.
So they went through as pass, no pass, which was the only other option we had. And so these are coming through now that the board policy has the satisfactory progress option to clarify. Satisfactory progress is not a passing grade, but in the non-credit adult education, it's a way of saying that you're making good progress, but you still have more to go to achieve the objective.
Is that an ending grade that you would get or a mid-year grade?
A grade in the course, so you didn't meet enough of the objective based on the grading criteria of the class to pass. But you're not outright not passing, and that could be seen as a failure and a disencouragement to this particular student population.
So if it doesn't count for credit,
These are non-credit classes.
right? So if it doesn't count for credit, I'm not certain as to what the three distinctions mean to the students. Is it encouragement or is it about proficiency?
So the pass is about proficiency, and there is a certificate of completion associated with these courses. So students who pass all 5 courses in the sequence would get a certificate of completion that has been approved by the state chancellor's office. So if you have a satisfactory progress, you would take that class again to gain the proficiency. And that is a more of an encouraging grade to the student than no pass, which is why Title V was changed several years ago.
But they still have to take the class to get the certification again, if they want it.
That is correct.
Why can't they get that mid-year so they can get up to proficiency? Why would that be an end grade?
We only assign grades at the end of the term.
Semantics, they don't pass either way.
They're not passing, but it is an encouragement because no pass, generally speaking, means like if you think about a credit class, means you got a D or an F. So it's much more of a failing kind of a grade. And connotation satisfactory progress is there to say, well, you haven't quite made it, but you're making great progress. Keep up the work and keep going and try again.
Okay, so for a future board agenda item, it would be great to get data on how many people are getting the SP, NP, and P. And
Just are changing these and it'll be effective for spring. So we don't have the data yet.
okay, well, just as a comparison, the MP versus P.
Sure.
And then the retakes from the MP
So I should
would be
also,
great to understand how many people are discouraged with the MP. And really what I'm interested in is how do we get more of the passing? And I understand emotionally about the SP. My concern is that they still have to take the class again.
correct. And let's reiterate again that SP is only for non-credit classes. It's not used in credit.
But isn't that part of the CNA program? Aren't some of the non-credit classes part of the CNA?
Well, so currently our CNA program is in credit. We are looking to move it into non-credit because of its entry living wage status.
Right, because we saw a few of the vocational, I think at the last meeting, that were non-credit. Right, CNA and something else, I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But some of the vocational that would fall into this, but if we could just at a future, get clarity on how many people are taking non-credit courses. Currently, the percentage of MP and P, who's retaking it of the MP, and then begin to track the SP and how many people actually retake it, if possible.
Okay,
Thank you.
you can do that.
Now moving on to item trustee Dopplemore on 15.12.
And I just noticed the other similar agenda items. And from.
Yes.
Janice Miller, on hers, it is not, her signature is not at the bottom like the other one, so I was just wondering.
I'm sorry.
No, it just says NA. And on all the other ones, it has the person's name there.
No, it has, the NA is not, it's for the printed name. So you have the authorizing signature for the manager responsible, and then we also, sorry.
Go ahead, you can pick any of the other ones.
So you have I'm sorry, so the person who wrote, so Janice signed the agreement, she didn't type in her name. So just put not applicable, but if you look at the agreement, the person signed, she signed the agreement. So the agreement is good to go as we move forward. Her printed name, no, she signed it.
And then these, what, all of these, what are these for? Because there's several of them.
Yeah, so included in the, do you want me to go over each one of them?
Hold up.
Okay, so if for some members maybe recall, we have several speakers that come on campus to speak to our students. And actually, Dr. Blanchine is here, who took the lead, who's responsible for this area. If you can come up to the mic for a little bit. But we have the authors at Compton. And so these are different authors that the faculty recommended to come to campus and provide presentations and to talk to our students and also to our student population. And so the events are scheduled. So the one for Janice Miller is scheduled for February 23rd.
Hello. So yeah, the folks that are on there, this is the faculty that do the authors of Compton and the voices of Compton. And so a couple of our new hired faculty have joined the voices and authors of Compton. They meet regularly and they decide who they want to bring. And so they're pretty mindful. I do get an opportunity to attend those meetings. So one of them is aligned. I know you were asking about if it's aligned with other things. So they are doing an alignment with National Farm Workers Awareness Week. So those are two of the speakers that are coming. I know for February, it was for Black History Month, and she's also someone from Compton. And so they're also trying to connect with other faculty and bring classrooms. They're trying to have the little theater reserved so that it can be events that lots of, like, it's going to be, of course, across campus, but they do try to, in our division meetings, reach out to other faculty members that can bring their classrooms. And we're also trying to get books purchased for our students through our charter success teams, and they've asked for additional funding. I think even through the HSI grant, they just in this last meeting through the HSI grant to ask for money so that they can actually have the books and have book signing and really engage with the authors that come to campus. So that's really what it is. They bring their ideas and then they discuss who actually is available to come. And then they really try to get other instructors to bring their classes and make it kind of relate to what they're having in the classroom. So any other questions?
Yeah, thank you so very much for that background. The reason why I asked is because it was like so many of them, right? It was a number of them.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah, there's been some transition with our authors, and they were trying to do them like month to month. And if you, in the history, can you hear me? Yeah. So in the history, sometimes people aren't getting paid on time, and we want to make sure that we got these in and that these are planned events. And so it's not last minute, that they're planning them out for the semester. And they got kind of a late start in the fall, just trying to recruit new faculty to join the group. And so that's why we're getting them in right now, trying to get board approval so that these people have the contracts in and we don't have delay in payment, and we can make sure that we just have events that run smoothly. So that's why we're trying to get them in, and they're all on there now, but it is like a plan for the semester. It's not going to be just like haphazard. So.
but thank you so very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Next item, 1519, trustee Calhoun.
All right. So I just want to know, why is it behind by 6 months?
The website redesign project is behind by 6 months because it is just me. So we have a company, Udall, who designed the new site, And we have Modern Campus who is doing the back end, the development and the script for the site. But the actual site map and the cleanup of the website is solely done by me. So it's taking me a lot longer to do it than anticipated. I kind of dive into the details a little too much and get sidetracked, and I just completed the new site map, which is the architecture or the navigation of the site on Friday. So it is not because of the vendors. It's not Udall or Modern Campus. It is solely because it's me.
No,
Trustee Calhoun,
Dr. Curry.
Dr. Curry.
It's just her. She has, I'm just asking because I have to direct it to you. She has no assistant, no help, no nothing.
So right now, in the planning process for this year, we approved another position to help with the web. And so we're working to get that job description finalized, hopefully by next month, to present to the board to move that forward. As you know, this last year, with things that we're doing in outreach and recruitment, we just have a lot that's going on. And so we're trying to fill that position as well. But including the planning process for last year was a new position for community relations as it relates to web development.
Okay, is there such thing as a temporary assignment for somebody?
The issue is that we have to have the job description for the position that's needed in order to move it forward, to be able to put somebody in there temporarily.
Okay, but were you aware of this?
Yes, I am aware of this, Trustee Calhoun, and we're doing the best in our possibility and the best that we can to be able to fill this position and provide additional support. But I also would say that the amount of requests that we get, the amount of stuff that we're doing, it's a lot. And we're trying to catch up as much as possible. And so this is one of these, one of our top priorities. We're working through, we had a committee and we got a lot of feedback from faculty and staff and students this past semester. And our goal is to complete the reps. Our website is updated now, but with the redesign, we know it's gonna be better for our students. And so I can provide a timeline at the next board meeting of when we're gonna have it done, but we're working to get it through and get it done.
Okay, I understand, and I'm gonna let this go. I understand that it is a lot of work. I understand that there is a lot of requests, but we do not want you or your staff to be so overwhelmed with the amount of work that they are doing. And I'm not saying they're not doing a good job. I'm just saying you can overwhelm an employee so much that I'll leave it like that, because you know where I'm going. So I'm just, if somebody needs help, they should get it. I understand that you got to do the job thing, you got to do the job description, but we cannot afford, my opinion, we cannot afford to lose any of our staff that is working harder. They need help.
And I don't disagree, but I think it's important for the board to also understand, that's the reason why I always talk about the pause and not picking up new initiatives for the college as an organization. And so we're trying to just focus in on our priorities right now of what we need to get done as a college. And so I truly understand what you're saying, Trustee Calhoun, but also I'm trying to make sure that we don't add additional projects or additional programs, that things people are asking us for, unless we have the capacity to do it. And that's been hard because we get a lot of people who are asking, especially from community relations, for different items. And we're having to tell people that's not a priority at this time as we focus on enrollment and also website. But I totally agree with you.
Are you talking about the board member?
No, I'm talking about everyone in regards to the pause. So if we're doing a pause regards to I'm not talking about academic programs. I'm just talking about new programs and initiatives, because we get so inundated from community people, from statewide people about new stuff they want us to be involved in. And we're telling people, no, we cannot do this at this time because we're trying to focus in on our own organization. We get inundated with requests.
I'm quite sure you do. I'm gonna leave it alone, but just like I'm concerned with you, I'm concerned with the faculty, the staff, the classified. I'm just concerned about the amount of work and being overworked, and that's all. Look,
No.
I don't do y'all work, but I feel y'all. And I know you're gonna get it done. I know that. I feel y'all.
We will. Board Member Calhoun, I just wanted to make it clear, it wasn't the vendors that were the holdup. There is a piece, the understanding of the site and the cleanup, and it's just taking a little bit longer than anticipated. So,
I'm still a yes on it.
well, I can't wait. I'm excited for the launch of the new site, and I hope everybody will like it. So, especially the new students, because we're going to streamline the future students webpage, which is key to give them to the steps to enrollment that pertain specifically to them, whether it be veterans or nursing students, reverse transfer, so that they don't get stuck in the website and get the wrong information or give up because they can't find what they're looking for. So that's our goal.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh.
Trust,
Oh,
Tru-
sorry. At the black, no, I didn't know everybody. Go ahead.
Dr. Little?
I just wanted to, just to follow up on that point in terms of how best the board can support you, Dr. Curry, and your team, both because of timeliness and we know additional projects, but also succession in terms of having support, having a number two who has the expertise. In all organizations, that's just good business practices to have succession planning, or not having a sole key executive with that major responsibility plus others. So beyond, of course, I recognize that the challenges that are competing, but just wondering more from a org structure perspective, where's the scaffolding?
Trustee Dopplemore?
Thank you. I would just like to have a question. This is really, at you, Dr. Curry. I know there was, so my question is, I know there's a lot of, contracts. We have a lot of consultants. There's a lot of spending, right? So I remember that this past year, we have to go back and look at the previous board items, but there was a vendor or a contract that we saw, that we approved, that was supposed to help with marketing and outreach. There's no other agreement or partnership or anything that there's nobody else helping that can assist with the website, the design, and helping out Heather with this. I mean, there has to be in all these attachments, all these, amount of all these additional resources that we have. There has to be, in one of these contracts, there has to be written something that can help Heather, especially in terms of marketing and outreach, because our students are online. And I know Mr. Cobb is not here, but going back to the LinkedIn, on the LinkedIn site, that's also another area of Compton College where we have like less than 1,000 followers. I'm on Facebook trying to get a little bit on Instagram. I kind of did that as well. But when you talk about marketing and outreach, what is that company doing? And I asked the question because I asked you why this marketing firm, and they're out of state. And I said, why would we have a contract or an agreement with a company that, of course, they're the best and the brightest, but they're across the country. They have no idea what the climate and the condition and what our students need here in Compton.
So but just for clarification about this item, I think we're moving away from this item into another item, and that needs to be agendized for another conversation. And I think we got to be mindful of that in the Brown Act. However, what I will say is that we hear you regards to the YOLO contract. I hear the board regards to the staffing, and want to make sure we provide the support for community relations, and we're going to make sure that we move forward on that. And if you look at the organizational chart, through the budget process, the board approved an organizational chart, the additional staff person to help Heather Pardock as we move forward. Including your board letter, just so you have it, was an update on outreach and marketing and all that we're doing. At the next board meeting, we can have we can agendize it to have a conversation. But we provide the update, but I don't think it's appropriate for us to have the conversation now based on the question, because that's not the agenda item.
But if I may, I would like to ask that we go back and review that, whatever it is, if we can go back and have a review and look at what is in that agreement, and I'll probably go back and find it.
And we could do that.
Yes, and see is there verbiage or something in there that can assist Heather with this, because this is huge. The website.
We will follow back up on that and provide more information to the board.
Are there any other questions in regard to the consent agenda items? Without any further discussion, roll call, please.
It's the whole thing. No, we're good. She just 50.12.
So is this a yes for the entire consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's a unanimous yes vote.
Moving on to item 16, action items. Dr. Curry, all of these are voted on individually, correct?
Correct.
Moving on to 16.01, Compton College Adult Learner Strategic Enrollment Management Plan. Do I hear a motion?
Move.
It's been moved by trustee Calhoun and seconded by trustee Dopplemore. Discussion, trustee Carnes,
No discussion.
trustee Calhoun,
No discussion.
trustee Lopez,
No discussion.
trustee Dopplemore, trustee Little.
No discussion.
Roll call, please.
That's a unanimous yes vote.
Moving on to item 16.02, Administrative Services, Compton Community College District Resolution number 12-2022A, budget augmentations for the fiscal year 2022 through 2023. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Calhoun and seconded by Dr. Little. Now we're opening it up to discussion. Trustee Carnes,
No
Tru-
discussion.
trustee Calhoun, trustee Lopez, trustee Dopplemore,
No discussion.
Dr. Little.
No discussion.
Roll call, please.
Sonia's gone. The motion carries.
Item 16.03, Administrative Services, Compton Community College District Resolution number 12-12-2022B, budget transfers for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Calhoun and seconded by Dr. Little. Trustee Carnes,
No discussion.
trustee Calhoun,
No discussion.
Trustee Dopplemore,
No discussion.
Dr. Little,
No discussion.
roll call, please.
The motion carries.
Moving on to 16.04 facilities planning and development, contracts over 99 and $100, 99,000. Add amendment ratification, PCM 3 Incorporated Student Housing Project. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by trustee Calhoun and seconded by trustee Dopplemore. Discussion, trustee Carnes,
No discussion.
trustee Calhoun,
No discussion.
trustee Dopplemore,
No discussion.
trustee Dr. Little,
No discussion.
roll call, please.
The motion carries.
Item 16.05 facilities planning and development, contracts over 99,100. Struer Incorporated Visual and Performing Arts Project. Is there a motion?
Moved.
It's been moved by trustee Calhoun and seconded by trustee Dopplemore. Discussion, trustee Carnes,
No discussion.
trustee Calhoun,
No discussion.
trustee Dopplemore,
No discussion.
Dr. Little,
No discussion.
roll call, please.
The motion carries.
Moving on to item 17, discussion and action. Dr. Curry,
Yeah, so this discussion item, just the first one is the board retreat is scheduled for this Saturday, December 17th. Dr. Helen Benjamin will be the facilitator and will be in touch with the board president today or tomorrow, I'm sorry, to talk about the agenda. The goal is that to review the board goals and to work through the board goals for this year and a mid-year assessment. Do you want me to keep going or to answer any questions?
trustee Dopplemore.
Yes, I just wanted to know, are we still continuing on and where are we with the D&I subgroup or subcommittee that was supposed to take place with
So we get, that's on item 17.04. So I can talk about that at 17.04. Thank you.
You could continue, Dr. Curry.
So 17.02 is the legislative priorities. So what we did, just to provide asking the board for input as relates to some of our priorities as we go to our legislative meetings for this next year. Is there anything from the Board of Trustees that you would like to see us talk about in Sacramento regards to legislative priorities that you see? And we include a copy of the priorities from last year, just to provide some recommendations from you before we start to work on the priorities for the next board meeting.
You want us to give that to you now?
Just wonder if you have any feedback. You can give it to me at a later date, which I can bring forward to the board, but we're just trying to craft our legislative priorities.
Yes.
Financial aid reform, and particularly funding for community college students. Of course, all segments, but in particularly community college students, the funding.
Is that it? Okay. Dr. Curry?
I'll give you mine later.
Okay, and I can send an email to the board if you have some recommendations for the board, and we'll put an email out for you to provide feedback over the next couple of weeks.
May I also
Dr. Little?
raise some of the ways in which, like our faculty talked tonight, in terms of legislatively integrating pedagogy and curricular expectations, ways in which we measure success, student learning and success. It aligns with where we have equitable access and different equity measures.
Right, to include financial aid, when I said like funding for community college students, to include, that's also basic needs as well. And of course, you know, I know we're already focused on that, but we need to continue to elevate that that concern as well and barrier for our students.
Dr. Curry?
Okay, so item 17.03 is the update on enrollment. We just got the updated numbers today for winter and spring. And one of the things that we've been doing as well in regards to enrollment, we've been providing the comparison over the last couple of years. And so for the updated numbers we just got today that just came out. So for for winter, we're up. Give me 1 second. For winter, we are up by 26% compared to last year. So for winter, we're up by 26.3% compared to last year at this time. And then for compared to 2020, we're 7% up. This is the data. I just got updated data. So what's in your packet is data as of last week, Friday, and I'm just providing you data from today. For enrollment for spring, we are up by 16.5% compared to last year, and we're up by 6.6% compared to 2020. So we're going to continue to push, but enrollment is promising. We want to continue to push enrollment, especially for our current students enrolling and also potential new students. We have several events scheduled, but also a couple of newsletters that hit the mailboxes in our district about the college and also enrollment for winter, spring. And we have increased the budget by another $50,000 to do some more advertising for spring semester. One of the things that we're excited about winter, but we want to continue to push for spring. And that's all I have on that.
Something I want to ask.
Trustee Calhoun?
On 1703, I'm looking at the chart, right? The virtual steps to enrollment, in-person enrollment services and outreach activities for November 2022.
Mhm.
All right. So I went down the line. If you look at the activity, what it was, the outreach events and the number of participants. You had a college fair. Was the college fair here? The college, it was two outreach events for the college fair. It said 2 outreach events. Was it here or different locations?
Nicole Jones.
Right here. Click on that. Legislators, see this.
We did have one college fair here, which was a HBCU college fair that was on campus. So we did have one here in the month of was this November? But the other one could have been a community college fair. I'm outside external to us. I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, okay.
We'll follow back up on that question.
Oh, no, we did. We had the additional one. We had 2. They were both on campus.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
they
fine.
were.
And then, okay, so it says the dual enrollment specialist, HS is high school, right? Visits.
Yes.
It said you had, oh, is this you? You had 26 activities, 269 participants.
Yes.
Yes, so we have our dual enrollment specialists that go out to the high schools and meet with students every week.
The visits, you went to the high schools, that's the thing. You went to like Linwood, Paramount, and Compton Unified.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was curious about. When they go to these high schools, do they have any of our information on the bulletin board?
We do have information that we have at the high schools. We take our flyers, our handouts, giveaways. We do take information to the high schools. Marketing, are you referring to like marketing and
So
and
what,
outreach
what,
Do they have
materials?
dedicated, go ahead on.
so trustee Calhoun is asking at the high school, they have a deli, or is our information on a designated bulletin board at the high schools? I don't know that question, but we will find that out and report back to the board.
Right, I'd like to know if at each high school, we have a dedicated bulletin board outside when they walk in, or that talks all about Compton College and everything that we have to offer, since we offer dual enrollment to their students. And so I'd really like to know that. And once again, that's all. That's it, for 1703.
Trustee Dopplemore?
Yes, I would like to, just as a suggestion and recommendation too, the adult schools as well, for example, like the adult school at Paramount. And I know, I mentioned this, once before, but again, using Paramount as an example, we have Odyssey, which is also the Odyssey STEM Academy, which is also a high school. So Paramount has they really have 3 high schools: Odyssey, the West Campus, and they also have the main high school campus as well. So I would just like to add that.
And so Sherry Berger and the team, so just to put it out there regards to visits and what we're doing to high schools. So every month, our team meets with Compton Unified, Linwood, and Paramount about what we're doing for dual enrollment, different activities, what we're doing for emergency aid. So that's happening every single month. And so at a meeting a couple months ago, the question was asked about Paramount and Odyssey High School and dual enrollment. And Sherry had a conversation with Paramount Unified School District as it relates to that as well. So we did get the information on that, and they weren't interested at this time regards to dual enrollment at Odyssey. But we will be following back up regards to other outreach activities that we can do at Odyssey High School, as an example.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 18, grant items. We don't have any. Moving on to,
Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't get to 17.01, 17.04. 17.04 was the fellowship intersection project. And at the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, we had a conversation with Helen Benjamin about that project. And she sent an email to Dr. Little and also Trustee Dopplemore regards to next steps and also the scheduled meeting as it relates to that project. And so I will circle back around with Dr. Benjamin tomorrow in regards to that piece of that project to make sure that meeting is scheduled with Trustee Dopplemore and Dr. Little. And I hopefully that answers your question, Trustee Dopplemore. And then go to 17.05. 17.05 is just a vision for success. We're going to continue to work through the leading and lagging indicators. And I just want to keep this in mind for the board, is to really look, when you get some time, to look at our IE planning goals and to continue to look at that. If you have questions, you want more information about that, please let us know. But we continue to monitor that. One of the things that I was really excited about this today, and this was part of my report, but I think I should share it now, is Lauren Sasenko provided information to me last week regards to our students as it relates to completion data. And this goes into our leading and lagging indicators. But what's really fascinating about this, even though we have an enrollment decline, the number of degrees and certificates has continued to increase. And what's even more fascinating is the number of degrees and certificates have increased for Latinx and Black students. And so we'll be sharing this data, but it was really fascinating when I received this last week. So just to give you a sense of where I'm at, and I'll share this with the board, is that in 2019-20, we had 339 students who received 339 degrees awarded. In 21-22, we have 539 degrees awarded, even with the decline in enrollment. The number of certificates increased from 121 to 298. It gets even more interesting when we start to disaggregate the data. So if you look at the Latinx students, we went from 242 degrees awarded to 345. We went from 90 certificates to 229. For Black students, we went from 62 degrees awarded to 143 for this past academic year. The number of certificates for Black students went from 25 to 59. Now, when you look at the funding formula, and one of the things the funding formula talks about the associate degrees for transfers. If you look at our numbers in 2019-20, we had 148. Now we're at about 139. So that's one area that we can be able to increase, is really looking at students who are achieving the ADTs. However, if you look at Black students, we had 33 ADTs awarded. Now we're at 35. And for Latinx, we went from 106 to 100. So even though we have a decline in enrollment, if you look at lead lagging indicators, but you can see that our success data has improved, which is important as it relates to the student-centered funding formula. And so when you look at our reorganization in 2019 regards to guided pathways, that supports it because we know who our students are. But this data supports the work that we're doing, but also has a direct link to the leading and lagging indicators and really looking at the data. And so I'm gonna share this with the Board of Trustees by tomorrow, but it's really fascinating when you start to really look at our data and have conversations where our completion data has been improving. Any questions on that one?
Dr. Curry,
Yes.
You're little?
Dr. Curry, what one or two things do you think account for that? Is it because as you indicated, there are some almost disparate indicators there where you have lower enrollment, but you have these increases in overall student success and completion and matriculation. Do you think it's the smaller student class sizes, which is allowing more one-on-one or specific attention? Or, yeah, what do you think is
What's the intervention? I would say, and I'm biased here, so just please bear with me on this. I'd say there's three things. One is that our complete restructuring of our organization, and we know who our students are based off those majors and the work that's being done with our success teams on our campus. We know who the students are by major, and we're able to follow up with those students. Two, I think we have done a really good job regards to promoting graduation and ensuring students are submitting their graduation application. And there are some problems with that process, and we're working on that as well. But really doing a real effort through guided pathways to encourage students to apply for graduation has been very helpful. And this week last week, the counselors they schedule all the workshops for graduation applications. They schedule them all the way out through next year. They already did those, they're in person and they're also online, but they already scheduled that. And so that has helped. The third thing I think is just what's happening in the classroom and support services. Everyone is focused on student success and we're following back up with the students, but it's been all hands on deck regards to this. And so I give a lot of credit to the faculty in regards to what's happening in the classroom, but then also what's happening with the student support services as it relates to guided pathways implementation. Our success teams are a model as we move forward. And the fourth piece I would say to this too, is our early alert system is incredible. Our staff spoke at the Community College League California conference a couple of weeks ago, and they talked about our early alerts and how we're following up students in regards to academic progress. Not too many colleges are doing what we're doing, especially since it's included as a part of the contract language as it relates to faculty submitting progress reports, but we have staff based off success teams who are following back up with those students. So students are receiving kudos for doing good work, and then also students are being referred to services. So I would say those four areas are what we're looking at, but we're gonna look a little bit more deeper into the data. But when you look at the data, it's impressive. Even with the enrollment decline, you see the increase in degrees and certificates awarded.
and we're documenting this in a way in which people can see systemically and intentionally how we are integrating this?
Yes, and it's all, the way we're integrating this work is all included in the Compton 2024 planning documents for Compton. But the new data, we will make sure that it's made publicly, and we're going to do some things about that as it relates to some press releases about the data and that students are completing at a higher rate at Compton College.
Thank you.
Yes.
Trustee Dopplemore?
I just wanted to ask a question, Dr. Curry. Will this data also, because you mentioned one of the 3 or 4 things with the student success, you mentioned the support and the outreach. would that, would the data also be able to identify the number of students that are participating, for example, like in EOPS and CARES?
So what we can do regards to the data and graduation, next meeting, we'll talk about the data as a part of the leading lagging, because I got updated today that I wanted. What we do at the next meeting, we'll talk about it, and we can talk about how we can disaggregate it more, but we can be able to disaggregate it by program level as well. And we can do that. Am I correct, Lauren? Okay, make sure I got it right. And that concludes the discussion information, oh, I'm sorry. That includes the discussion action.
Okay, moving on to item 19, board policies and administrative regulations. Dr. Curry?
Can I ask a question before you start? So, because I know we have to go one by one. So we have from 1901 to 1911, right? And I know a lot of times you go into each one. So is it any way like, the chair can ask the question if anybody have anything they gotta say about anyone, and then,
I'm okay with that.
and then if nobody has anything to say, then we through at 19.
Okay.
I got something to say on every one. Not for real. I'm just kidding.
Trustee Carnes?
No discussion.
Trustee Calhoun?
No discussion.
Trustee Dopplemore?
No discussion.
Dr. Little?
No discussion.
Is there anything you really want to point out, Dr. Curry? Okay. Moving on to item 20, information items. Dr. Curry?
Yeah. Can I just highlight two of them? Okay, I just want to highlight two. There's two items I want to highlight for the board. Is just to see on item 20.07, the update on Oliver W. Connor Estate. I think it's very important to see the board where we're at as relates to that. And then item 2010, which is an update as relates to distance education and what's happening in the area. And I'm sorry, there's three. And I also want to bring back 20.13, which is our equity plan. The Board of Trustees approved the equity plan at the last board meeting, but it wasn't a glossy cover document. And so we want to make sure you know this is to the board delegated authority to me to finish the document. And we want to make sure you got to see the glossy cover of the document. And that concludes my report. That concludes my items on that one.
I do have a comment.
Dr. Little?
Just very quickly on the accreditation. I don't know if we can have an update, a more thorough update on the process at a future board meeting, just in terms of where we are and the status and that process to better educate not only the board, but also the community on the vital importance of accreditation and the ongoing transparency around the work that the college is doing.
No problem. Yes, we can do that.
Thank you.
Is that it for
Yeah, I just want those. Yes, I'm done.
item 21, future agenda items? Dr. Curry?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know for the next board meeting, we have the audit report. We should be having that on the board agenda. Also, update on Oliver W. Connor Promise Program, update on professional development, a presentation on the AB 7705 and the work that we're doing in that area. And then also update as relates to our strong workforce. California Competes was a part of the board goals for this year.
Moving on to item 22, oral reports. Dr. Curry?
Yes, I have a couple items for oral report. I have a couple things I wanted to share. One is we have a legislative briefing scheduled for December 14th from 12 to 2. We sent out to the Board of Trustees the information about the briefing. We'll be talking about we're releasing our new report. It's called Every Student is a Success Story, Basic Needs Innovation at Compton College. It's an amazing report. Inside Higher Education picked it up this afternoon. And so we're really looking forward to talking about all the basic need program services we provide. I do want to say thank you to Next Gen Policy Group for their assistance with the development of this policy brief. Just a reminder, just because they have some really good grapes, the Compton College Farmers Market is held weekly on Wednesdays from 3 to 7. Students are provided with $20 to help support them in regards to purchasing at the farmers market. The grapes are amazing. I didn't try them, and Trustee Calhoun and I had a debate and an argument about the grapes. She said how good they were, so I bought the purple ones, and they were amazing last week. She thought she's gonna get them, but I did not bring them back because I ate them. But also too, there's a vendor for us. They do a seafood burrito, like a shrimp burrito. And that's what Linda's shaking. She's like, that's the one. But if you get a chance to get the shrimp burrito at the farmer's market, it's really good. But if you're going to go, you have to go early because the students are in line. If you go between 4 and 5 and 4 and 6, forget about it. That line is too long. But the seafood is amazing. And then there's also the one that Sylvia likes the most is the tamales. So we have a tamale vendor that's really good. My wife actually made me bring her home tamales and was upset at me 2 weeks ago because it wasn't pork, beef, or chicken. It was vegetarian. So I had to buy all 3 of those last week because that's what she wanted. But tamales are amazing. But again, you need to get there early for tamales because they run out before 5 o'clock. And so I just want to, hopefully the board is able to participate in the farmer's market, which is a great thing. This week, today we had our quarterly new employee welcome celebration. It was amazing. I want to say thank you to Pilar for the work on that. Yeah. January 3rd, we are open the Student Services Building. We're excited about that, and we'll continue to push. Also, I sent an email to the Board of Trustees and also campus community about our Compton College Community Day, which there's a lot that's happening on that day. So it's April 22nd, 2023 from 11 to 3 o'clock. We got events including food, grand opening of the Structural Building 1 and 2, and the Student Services Building. We're also adding a health fair to this event. We're also working on we have the Compton College baseball game that day as well, but the campus is going to be open to the community, and we're going to really start to promote this event. But it's April 22nd, and we put together a planning committee for that. April 22nd, 2023 from 11 to 3 o'clock, our Community Day event. And my final piece to tonight is that on last week, on Wednesday, December 7th, we had our holiday celebration. And so we have $4,000 worth of prizes and giveaways for that. It was a packed house in the student lounge. And Christine Aldrich, from the director of EOPS and Care, was the winner of the grand prize, which was an 85-inch TV. She already took it home, so don't ask where it's at, because it was all right because she already took it home last week. But she was the winner of the grand prize. But it's a great event. We had a lot of fun. Everyone just celebrating for the holiday. And I do want to say thank you to Stella Luna, Ruben James, and all our volunteers who worked that day to make it a really good event for our employees. And that concludes my report.
Moving on to the Board of Trustees, Trustee Calhoun. Oh, so I read that wrong. Trustee Carnes.
No comment.
Trustee Calhoun.
Long meeting, nice meeting, good meeting. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And I know that Dr. Curry informed everybody why I was not here in the very beginning, in the end, because I was taking my final exam and I passed it. So I have my AA. Ooh-wee. I have my AA. I got an A. I worked hard for that, even at my age. Oh, Lord, going back to college. For anybody, young or old, you have to get your mind prepared. And I was taking labor studies. So thank y'all for understanding tonight, but I could not miss that final. And I'm so glad about that. And no, I'm not going for my BA.
Yes, you are.
AA is good enough for me. She's trying to make me go for the BA in labor law. AA is good enough for me, y'all. I saw it on TV. I saw it. She was in that wheelchair. They wheeled her up. She got up and had that cane on her. I congratulated her too on the TV thing. Go sister. And so I'm gonna have a community meeting, but not until March. March is gonna be a community meeting, but more will be talked about. We have to make the arrangements. I also talked to Dr. Curry about in December. He's looking into it because we got to look at the basketball schedule. The facility usage for basketball, because I would like to have a toy giveaway Winter Wonderland at our college. I don't know if everybody remember years ago, I gave a toy giveaway at Compton College and we used the gym. And we had bikes and everything. But anyway, I have a company, no charge to the college, that will bring the snow, no charge to the college, that will put up an ice skating rink, and no charge to the college for to get toys unless anybody want to donate, because we got the organizations all ready together. But once again, we got to look at the facility usage to see the basketball schedule that will not come out until August.
August next year.
But prior to that, we gonna be planning it, so I don't want to interfere with the basketball because they get first dibs on anything that has to come with us at this college, any sports. So I'm looking forward to that. Everybody have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Kwanzaa and a very good New Year.
Sorry, Trustee Calhoun, I know you're doing your report. Do you want to provide a report about what you're doing tomorrow? Tuesday night?
Oh, you want me to tell them?
Yeah, because I think this goes back to the question from the Academic Senate from earlier today.
To the city council?
Yeah.
I will be attending the Compton City Council meeting tomorrow to find out how we can have a better working relationship so that we are able to post our banners around. And also wanted to talk to Dr. Curry about, see if the mayor will do it, sending a letter to the school district, the superintendent, the president, the city council, the city manager, and the mayor, and also here about getting together with the school district, the college, and the city council, working together, coming together as a whole, because we have the same difficulty, the same everything that they have. We have the students, but we also have the parents. They got the children and the parents. So does the school. So we really need to do a better job of working together and possibly having a committee, whoever the board wants to nominate, however it works. Dr. Curry is going to look into it, but I'll ask the mayor first, since she is the mayor of the city, see if she will do the letter first. If not, then we'll just have to do it, because we need to work together for once. This is, I'm gonna stay nice. Sometimes when people are elected, there are certain individuals that just don't want to come together. And so now that we have different people on different locations, on certain councils and school district, I think that we could do a better job of working together and helping each other and one another out. So I will be at the Compton City Council meeting.
Don't forget about the bridge.
And I am going to talk about that bridge because they got money for that bridge, okay? I don't know when they're gonna start working on it, but they have money for that bridge. Our Senator Steve Bradford made, what was it? 20?
I can't remember the amount, but I can follow back up.
They got some money. I don't know if they have it all, but they have some money to fix that bridge, to open it up, because our students, the whole community is just flabbergasted, can't get across, and it has knocked us off with the bus schedules and everybody else trying to get to our college. So I will be talking about that also. They only give me 3 minutes, so I'm gonna make it fast and short. They don't care. If I was an organization, they'd give me 5. So That's what I'm going over there to do tomorrow night. Can't take it no more. And thank you.
Trustee Dopplemore?
Yes, thank you, Chair. On Saturday, I had the honor and the pleasure to represent Compton Community College by participating along with my fellow trustee, Trustee Calhoun. I know, our president, couldn't make it, but we represented, Compton. It was, an honor and a pleasure to participate in that parade. And I know that there's, so many other things going on and just trying to do our job in our area to support and help bring awareness to and some visibility to Compton Community College. So that was great. I participated in that. And I just also would like to remind everyone that our financial aid, our students filing for FAFSA as well as CADA, that deadline is coming up on March 2nd. So we need to continue to spread the word and do our due diligence with that advocacy, because that's, it's really, that money is available there for our students, and we're just leaving money on the table. And of course, like with this particular area, our students, that's money that they're entitled to. So why not tap into those additional funding and finance those funding opportunities to eliminate and reduce the financial aid barriers that that our students face. And again, I would just like to thank Dr. Curry, the staff, the classified and the certified classified employees, as well as my fellow board members here for an amazing, wonderful year that it has been. We're closing out on the year. Wish everyone Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and looking forward to many more, a lot of endeavors that we have to undertake here at Compton. So that's all I have, and I'll turn it back over to you, Trustee Calhoun.
I'm sorry, I forgot. I want to thank Trustee Dopplemore. She had an event here at the college. And I want to thank her. I came and I supported her in her efforts. And I just wish it could have been a better turnout. I don't know what happened. I don't know why Paramount, Linwood, and Compton students were not available to come to this event that Trustee Dopplemore had, because he gave all the information about FAFSA. Did I say it right? FAFSA, okay. All the information about applying for everything that you needed and the deadline. And I don't know where the miscommunication was or whatever, but I hope that you do another event, because I know you did it in enough time and you talked about it. So I don't know where the breakdown was, but I was really disappointed that more students and community was not involved. I don't know if the advertisement didn't go out on time, or I don't know what it was, but hopefully the next one that you do will be more participation and more board members supporting one another. Even if you can't stay at the events that we do, at least come and show your support for 10 or 15 minutes. That's all. And thank you for that event.
Trustee Dopplemore?
Yes, if I'm on, and I'll just take I'll take a moment. Again, everyone, I would like to thank you again for the support. Like Trustee Calhoun is saying, the individual activities and engagement, whether it's with the community, it's all for our students. And there is a lot of work to be done, and we just need to continue with the marketing and outreach with all those different endeavors and supporting all the different key stakeholders, and just continue to keeping our students the focus and the main thing. And then, of course, things will just get better as we move forward. But anyway, it was great. And I appreciate the opportunity to kind of assist with that particular event at Compton.
Dr. Little?
Yes, I first of all wanted to just thank the community and all of those who supported this past election and for entrusting me the opportunity to serve again. Want to thank Dr. Curry and the entire administration, faculty, and staff for all of their service. And I think we can see with each of the continued presentations, the integration of the programs and policies that have been put in place are really coming to fruition. I appreciate the sentiment that Trustee Calhoun shared about collectively working together, because we all are here for one mission, and that's the success of our students and our overall community. I too will be working with Dr. Curry to plan a community engagement opportunity. I think I love the farmer's market. I have to come and I guess get in line early for these grapes. But I think the more that we have community on the campus, the more that we will continue not only to foster inclusion, but that more people will take full advantage of all of the various resources that we have here at the college. I again look forward to many of our efforts on behalf of our students. Look forward to coordinating with all of our trustees around community engagement, especially some of the signature programs, the Black and Males of Color, for example, Success, our HBCU outreach, and all of those efforts. Also, as I end, I would like to end in the memory of Mrs. Irma Ruth Mitchell, who passed today of COVID, who is a very long time community member here in Compton. But thank you, everyone, and happy holidays.
Is that it, Dr. Little?
That's it for me. Did I forget?
For my report, I just wanted to thank the staff for the presentations, just everything that went into putting today's meeting, the reception, and also if Dr. Curry's office could provide this student trustee with the information with the conferences that are coming up to make sure she receives all that. And I also wanted to congratulate her on being student trustee and also on the board members that were reelected. And I just wanted to say happy holidays. And moving on to 22.03, special trustee, Dr. Fallow, do you have a report? Thank you.
Chair, if I may, I would like.
Trustee Dopplemore?
Yes, I would like for us to go back to revisit the motion that was made for item number 9 that we discussed previously. If we could go back to that.
Going back to item
No,
9.
I believe it was item number 9 for our different. God, I think I did it wrong. Is it 9? The organization, yes. Is that number 9? I know, I'm trying to.
Sure, no.
Is number 9. If we can go back and revisit the motion that was made regarding item number 9, if that, if those officers will still stand, or if we needed to go back and address those motions, second, whatever else it was, accepting that nomination for those positions and those officers. Do you guys remember that? Okay.
Do you want to talk about process for that?
Yes, please, Dr. Curry.
Yes, Dr. Curry.
Okay, so the process would be the board said before we went to break to reconsider the item. So would you need a motion to reconsider item, and then you need to reconsider item number 9, and you need a majority to say, go back and do it, and then you go back through item number 9.01 through 9.06.
So I will make a motion just to go back and revisit item number 9. I know it was early, but you guys, we talked about that a lot. So a motion to go back and revisit item number 9. Are we gonna move forward with the officers that have been elected, or are any of these positions gonna be challenged?
Remember when we stated it, it has to be stated in a particular way. It's
I
not
don't
about
remember- I don't
challenge.
remember how we stated.
I think it just has to be, are we gonna reconsider? Make that the motion. You make the motion that we reconsider item number 9.
Just to provide clarification, I would like to make a motion to go back and reconsider agenda item number 9.
That's it. Second.
It's been moved by trustee Dopplemore and seconded by Dr. Little. Any discussion? Trustee Carnes,
No discussion.
trustee Calhoun,
No discussion.
trustee Dopplemore,
So my discussion or my comment is, if we're gonna accept the officers as posted, yes.
They're gonna go, each one, keep trying to discuss, go to roll call. The
Oh.
vote to go back.
Oh, okay, got it. That's it.
Dr. Little,
What's the question?
Is there any discussion on this, on the motion?
No, I second it.
roll call, please.
Trustee Carnes,
Yes.
Dr. Little,
Yes, we're voting.
You're voting to go back to the item. So there's a motion on the floor to go back to reconsider. There's a discussion. There's a motion in a second. Now there's a discussion. Now the roll call vote to start to go back to the item number 9.
Yeah.
Did everybody vote or are we not voting?
They're doing a verbal roll call because we can't go back and vote through board docs. So that's why we're doing a verbal roll call, and then then you'll be able to go back.
So where are we? I said yes already.
trustee Calhoun,
Yes.
President Ramos,
No.
trustee Dopplemore,
Yes.
the motion carries.
So what's the next step?
The next step is to go back to item number 9.01. And if there's a motion to revote, the board to revote, or if there's not a vote, is there not a motion to revote, or if it doesn't pass with the majority, then you move to the next item.
What happens to if we don't have the same quorum? Well, we have a quorum, but if we don't have the same composition of trustees that voted the first time.
Then you still would do a vote based off of who's here now.
But I thought that, okay, so it's only nominations that people
It was
can.
the issue was regards to the nomination and acceptance of the nomination. And we talked about that prior to going to break, after listening to legal counsel, is that the person does not have to be present to be nominated for the position.
But does it forfeit if it's a trustee who voted the first time? But they're not here now, so they forfeit their vote even though that they voted the first time?
Correct, because the board with the majority that's here was able to reopen the item.
So is there a motion?
I thought we said yes.
You had a motion to
so the-
reconsider it. Now the question is what you do regards to the officers. Is there a motion to reconsider 9.01 regards to the vote of the president, vice president, and also the clerk?
I have a point of clarification. Who breaks ties?
There's
I know
the,
it's 5 of us now, but generally speaking, if we have 6, who breaks the tie?
the student trustee is an advisory vote.
Okay.
And so the board of trustees, you need the majority, so you need 3 to move forward.
Okay. So what are we doing? Right? Yeah.
You need a motion, so right now you reconsidered item number 9. So now the question would be, out of item number 9, does the board, is there one of the board items for 9.01 through 9.06 that you would like to reconsider? It's up to the board to make that decision of how you want to move forward.
So I'd like to make a motion that we reconsider, item number 9.
We've already.
You already did that. So now you're at 9.01.
To vote it on it?
The question would be, you went through items 9.01 through 9.06. The question would be from the board, is there a particular position or is there a particular item number that you want to go back into and do the vote again? Did you decide to reconsider the item?
Okay, so. I would like to make the motion to go back and consider, agenda item 9.02.
Regard,
That is for the different officers, correct?
9.01 is the one for the different officers.
9.01.
Are you reconsidering all officers or what?
Yes, 9.01.
So there's 3 positions.
Can we just ask this question? Can we do this discussion now or no?
We're trying to figure it out, yes.
Okay. So if I may, Chair, if I can ask a question.
I have a question. Can you
Yes.
can you tell me what happened? Because I wasn't here, so can you tell me what happened?
Yes.
And maybe that was straightened out.
Yes,
so
and
I
I
can
was just trying to
understand what
figure out how
happened
to
when I wasn't here.
how to communicate that. So going back and revisiting the officers. The nomination was made for you to be, we nominated you to be president.
Okay.
Because you were not here at first, we said we were under the impression that you had to be here to accept the nomination. After we went through all of those positions, we seek legal counsel and we were informed that you do not necessarily physically have to be here. So my question would be, so we can just move on and close this out. If nominated for board president, will you accept that nomination and would you like to be considered for the president?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so make the motion to go back and open up item number 9 for us to go back through the process.
For number 9, 9.01 for number 1 only.
It's gonna affect all of them, right? Depending on how to. open it.
But it depends on if the board wants to do all of it. That's all I'm saying.
My motion is to do that, is to consider all of them.
And the board voted on that.
Okay, so now do we motion to open up and let's go back through the nomination? Do I make a nomination now at this point or no?
Now you're gonna have multiple nominations on the floor. It's not just going to be one.
It's gonna be all, it's gonna be all.
No, it's gonna be more than one nomination for the presidency, because you already have a sitting president.
We go back and review it, right? Because that's what we say. That's what we stated.
So if you're,
It doesn't negate the other, I mean, it allows for a new nomination to be on the floor.
you
but
could,
it
you
doesn't
could
negate.
technically, so basically what happens here is that if it's reconsidered, then if the board majority agrees with the reconsideration of it, then it will go through. But the board majority does not agree with the consideration of it, then it would go back to what was already voted on.
Then it would stand, right?
Correct.
So how come nobody knew the rules in the very beginning? Because I know the rules. I'm just curious, why nobody knew the rules from the very beginning?
This was my first time having that situation, and so that's why I had to seek legal counsel regards to it, regards to the individual not being here at the time
But you,
of the voting.
you seek the council after the vote was taken and a president was nominated. And then you came back and informed the body that I didn't have to be here?
Correct.
Which is why things are different. Yeah, and we.
Okay.
And we did we made a motion to consider it because we have to close out this item.
Did everybody vote to reconsider it?
Yes, I believe it
Mhm.
was unanimous.
Okay,
No, I abstained.
What?
you
Well, the
abstained?
motion passed.
Okay.
The motion passed.
But I think for me, this is, okay, so two things. One, the situation, I don't know how we got to that, but in absentia, that someone could be nominated. The issue was, do we know if someone would accept it? That was the issue of not having someone here. And that's why it was clarified also legally, because the person has to accept it. And so I don't know if it was made known or not, but anyway, that was one of the clarifying issues. And so the second clarifying issue was if the newly declared president had to take over the meeting, and then that was another issue. And then we clarified that the vice president could then take over. So there were a couple of issues that were on the table that dictated this kind of domino effect. So I just want us to be clear. And my question is, how do we roll back and address the clarification that we got after the fact? And without a complete board? I'm just wondering, is there something to, because this has to be done in public. I'm wondering at the retreat, I'm just wondering how it could be done with the full board. Because to me, it's gonna get tricky. If you have someone voting at first and then they leave and you don't have a full vote. Because I think we have to adhere to the rules. But I want to make sure that we're clear about what we're doing. So it's whatever the conclusion is, we all feel good about it. That is fair. So where do we stand?
Dr. Curry, where do we stand? She had a good point. Do you stay like it is and then we have the board retreat? And it's discussed at the board retreat? And does the vote have to be in the open?
Chair, if I may make a comment and a suggestion. Chair.
Trustee Dopplemore?
Yeah, if I can, if I could ask, can we go back and read what the motion was? To go back and, to come back and revisit?
That was the motion.
I would like for her to read the motion that was made.
Okay.
Because the motion was seconded as well, for us to go back and revisit.
The motion was to revisit the organizational meeting prior to the end of this meeting.
And that was with the understanding that the decision had to be made before the end of this meeting, because
Okay,
it has to go back to the state or something, right, or the county?
okay, I got it. Okay. So then somebody has to make a motion, somebody has to second it, and then it has to be voted on.
I thought we did that. I thought if we came back
No, you
to
didn't.
revisit.
You didn't, you did the motion on the revisit, but you didn't do the motion.
I did do a motion, I believe, to open it up to,
You did a motion to open it up and you nominated, you opened it up. So what could happen here is that the board would take nomination for board president. And if there's a majority that supports the individual who's been nominated, then that person will become the board.
It's not a majority. That's the point. You can't vote for yourself. So it's,
Yes, you can.
okay,
Well,
but we're gonna leave the other vote out. It's just tricky with 4.
because we left the vote out the first time.
But
you had,
But it was a vote. And that's why we're revisiting it. It wasn't a vote on the platform, it was a vote on a nomination.
it was still.
So if
4.
we're gonna go back, no, but
Okay.
what I'm saying is, it wasn't 4 with 2 candidates. What I'm saying is, if we're gonna, the reason we revisited is so it could be done properly. I think we should make sure all aspects of it are done properly, but if the other vote, if we got a vote tonight and the other vote is not here, okay.
So I have the attorney, can I put the attorney on the call?
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? Fair is fair all the way around. I'm just trying to.
All right, so Josh, you're on speakerphone with the Board of Trustees?
Okay.
Okay, so the issue, as you know, where we're at, so now the board has reconsidered the item, 9.9, item number 9 regards organizational meeting. And so the recommendation that's on the floor now is to revisit the election of the board president. And so we need some guidance about what do we do next?
Okay, so you have a number of options. One option is to essentially undo the prior vote and then appoint somebody else. And you can fully discuss this before you vote to kind of see where everyone stands. Another option would be to just stick with what you had and keep the appointment. Now, I guess the question then would be, is the trustee that you appointed willing to take on the role? And I understand they're not present for the meeting.
Yeah, they're present now.
Oh, okay. All right, so one option would be to just kind of redo, make sure that person's willing, and if you guys want to stick with that appointment, you can do that. If you want to appoint somebody else, you can discuss and come to a conclusion there and do that. A third thing that you're not agendized for, but you could, say, hey, this is probably something we should talk about at the next meeting, would be coming up with a clear line of succession in the event that you appoint someone as president and they're unable to serve or unwilling to serve or what have you. That might be something to consider adding to board bylaws, but not at this meeting. That could be something that would be later on down the road.
So something that was also asked, because one of the board members left early, was, is it possible for the Board of Trustees to table this item until the retreat, which is scheduled on Saturday?
My recommendation would be to do it now if you can, because it's supposed to happen at the annual organizational meeting. And I think it's supposed to also happen at a regular meeting.
Can the member who left, who voted at first, be contacted to vote again?
So we had one board member who left, who was a part of the voting. And the question was, can that board member be contacted to vote again? However, since they're not here, from my perspective, Josh, please make sure, right, since they're not here, their vote cannot be counted.
Are you guys doing the meeting in person or is it partially remote?
It's in person and everyone can hear you, yes.
Okay. Yeah, if it's an in-person meeting and you didn't agendize it to also happen remotely, the board member would need to be present to vote. Now, if they wanted to come back and vote, they could do that.
So that negates the other vote, but it seems like it's two different rules there. You don't have to be present to be nominated, but you have to be present to vote.
Correct.
Now, I guess there's one other option, which is you don't have a succession clearly identified. That if the president is elected and opts not to serve, or gives up the position, if without a president at a meeting, the vice president would step in and take over that role, but they don't become the president. So one thing you could do would be if a couple board members essentially agree, hey, I'll serve as president or I'll serve as vice president for one meeting. They could be appointed with the understanding that they would give up the position. And with the vacancy, I don't think there's any question the board could then take this up at the next meeting and appoint somebody with the intent that they stay in that role, for the rest of the for the rest of the year. So that would be an option, but not super common.
What happens to the other roles?
So Josh, so the question based off the agenda item, if the board has voted already to reconsider item number 9, which is the annual meeting. And so since they have done that, can the board give me advice of how we should proceed regards to the position? They already voted to reconsider. Will it be the next step is to go through each item again?
Yeah.
Okay, now my question that I have regards to this, if they were to vote to reconsider, hypothetically, let's say there's a nomination for even though the board has already voted, they voted to reconsider. If they decide not to change, do they have to do a vote on that?
What was the motion to reconsider?
The motion was to reconsider item number 9, the whole entire organizational meeting.
Okay, so they've decided to, all right, give me a second here. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. But they want. I mean, they didn't know that's what it was about. Wasn't my idea. All this.
Like the first thing, we can vote without Sonia being here.
Okay, so once you've adopted a motion to reconsider, then you take up the original motion in the same way that you did before the original vote was taken.
So that means go through.
You do have to go through and re-vote on all of those.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Thank you, Josh.
Okay.
Bye-bye. So we have to wait for trustee Dopplemore. Oh, shit. No. we're not, or we can't because it's a board meeting and she's a board member that's not, it wasn't agendized to be remote. So the process would be this, is that once trustee Dopplemore enters the room, we would go through the items again, item 9.01 all the way through. You have to go through the first nominee, you have to do nominations for the president first, and we have to take nominations, and then we go through all of, yes, correct.
Yes. Yeah, I think I was the president when you guys, when you and Dr. Little, I think for like 2 years or 2.5 before that.
So are we ready? We're good. Okay, so we can start with we have to redo item 9.01 as we talked about. So I will not take the gavel, but we'll do this. Is there any nominations for board president?
Yes, I would like to make the motion to nominate trustee Calhoun as board president.
Is there a second? Seconded by trustee Calhoun. Is there any other nominations for, or you want to do this vote first, or you want to do other nominations as well?
I get to do it because that's
Hold on, no, I'm asking the question. So we have the motion was made for trustee Calhoun to be board president. There's a second by trustee Dopplemore made the motion. It was seconded by trustee Calhoun.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now what? Oh.
She's trying to fix the roll, to be able to do the roll call.
Oh, wait a minute, I gotta go back on. So how are we supposed to participate if we? And now we're repeating because now trustee Calhoun can vote. So are we just repeating what we did earlier?
Yeah, we're going through. And so it would need to have the majority of the board to have to vote for trustee Calhoun would need 3 votes to the majority. And the student trustee vote is an advisory vote, so that'd be 3 of the board members have to vote for it.
We don't have more than any more nominations, right?
So you could do, that's what I mentioned, you could do it this way where you're able to vote one by one. If trustee Calhoun gets the 3 votes, then she's able to assume the position. If not, you could do another nomination until someone assumes the 3 votes. Or achieves the 3 votes.
We're getting, or did we already get it? Okay. And so what does this do for all the other roles?
Then we have to go back, basically since the board voted, as attorney mentioned, the board voted to reconsider. That means you have to go back and you have to go through all of 9.01. Item number 9, sorry. Let's get the votes.
So just for clarification, this vote, if they are 9.01, it negates all the other votes of 9.
All of 9, it has to be revoted. So we have to go through every single item in number 9.
So what was the vote to negate all of these?
To reconsider all of 9?
To negate, because that's what we're basically doing right here.
Once the board voted to reconsider item number 9, the vote was 3-4-0-1.
I understand that, but it was for the role of president.
No, it was to reconsider the item.
But it was around the role
No,
of
the
president.
president.
Correct. But the board voted to when the board went to break, it was to reconsider item number 9, the entire organizational meeting.
Right, okay.
The motion carries.
Okay, so trustee Calhoun was elected. So trustee Calhoun, now you're the chair, the president of the board. You have to do the nominations for the vice president for the board.
Are there any?
Before we do that, Dr. Curry, for clarification, it's for, I just want to get it on the record. So if we had gone 2 and 2 and we didn't have, because the student is advisory.
Yes. So what
would
was
have been that resolution?
if it would have had to you have to revote until you get.
It would have gone 2 and 2. Let's say it went 2 and 2. That's why I asked about the other trustee. That's why you never have an even number.
The problem is that this item was on the agenda and is reconsidered. And now that we have the trustee that's gone, we have to reconsider it during this meeting.
Okay, I just wanted on the record that procedurally, I think we need to check, because any board that I've served on for positions like this, you don't have, because if we went all night 2 and 2, what would have been the resolution?
There would have been no reason. We would have kept going until you got 3.
What?
You would have kept going until you have the 3 board majority.
But I'm saying logically, you can go 2 and 2.
Mhm.
So what would have been the legal resolution?
We asked our legal counsel.
Because that's the question I asked beforehand, and I'm just asking procedurally because if we revisited this so we can be right procedurally.
Yes.
I think we need to do it partially right to remedy it.
So trustee Little, can you talk in the mic so Josh can hear the question?
Josh, can you hear me?
Josh, can you hear this?
Can you hear?
Okay.
Can you hear? Shh. Can you hear me?
We structurally just took a revote. We have 5 board members, and my question is, if we continued at a 2-2 vote with no tiebreaker, what would have resolved this vote?
You need 3 members to take any.
So I'm saying if 3 had not done it and we have 4 and it was 2-2, what happened?
There's no affirmative vote. No matter how many board members there are, you always need a majority of the board to take action. So whether there's 3, 4, or 5 members present, you would need 3 to take a vote.
And so how many, this is what I'm saying. It's just like before procedurally, we need to know if we're not gonna have the 5, what would have, I asked this earlier in the meeting, remember? I said, what is the tiebreaker? Because if you just look numerically, if we went all night 2-2, what would have been our remedy?
There is no tiebreaker. You need to.
So if we don't get to 3, then what? It would have just negated it and reverted back to what was originally voted?
No, because you did, as I understand, you did vote to reconsider.
Exactly.
So that undoes the prior vote, and you basically need it, you're back at square one.
So when we're back at square one, if we have an even number and we go 2-2 for 50 votes, then what is the remedy?
There isn't.
So what is the outcome?
No, seriously, I mean, the outcome then would be that there is no affirmative vote and you need to go to 51. I mean, at some point, yeah, you may be done for the night, but there is no tiebreaker.
So to me, this process still is problematic, Dr. Curry. I'm putting it on the record.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Calhoun?
I'd like to make a motion to have Dr. Little be the vice president.
I am.
What?
I'd like to make a motion for Dr.
Nominate. Yes. What?
I'm sorry.
Nominate. That's why I nominated before.
Oh, you nominate her? See, I didn't know that. I withdraw that motion. I'd like to make a motion that I upgraded you again, that trustee Dr. Moore be nominated for vice president. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been second by Dr. Little. Roll call for the vote.
Is verbal as well? And Dr. Curry, can you please, after this meeting, check with the lawyer who did not know what the answer was when I asked about a tie break? Because just like we had issues with the first vote because we didn't know, I am on the record having a problem with the 4-4 vote. Because I don't think that this is procedurally correct. How does it didn't come up for me.
It didn't come up for her. She said.
Can I get your verbal vote?
Yes.
And can we have discussion? I just want to say that the only reason I'm accepting that is because of the hour and we're dwindling. It's not my intent to be board president. But because of the hour.
Vice
And
President.
because vice president and because of this, to become vice president because of the circumstances and because of the hour. That's why I'm accepting the nomination. I would like for that to be in the record. And again, my original motion to go back and revisit number 9
was to just make, because like I stated originally, my nomination from the beginning was to nominate trustee Barbara Calhoun as president originally. And that's all I would like to add to that.
And we agreed that it would be revisited at a later time. And that's what we did, because we had to agree to that. What I'm structurally wanting to put on the record is the reason we voted to revisit was because procedurally, we did not have all the information. And regardless of the outcome, I think procedurally, this is problematic. Because we could have voted 2-2. We had already nominated a president without that knowledge. And without an affirmative knowing of if someone would take on the role, which is why we voted the way we voted the last time. And why some people didn't even consider the presidency. So I'm saying it's a lot of circumstances. And I'm just saying that no matter what, we all have to work together, but I think we want to always do it to the best of our ability with the best process. And that's what I'm saying. So I just want to be declarative on that, because I think on multiple fronts, we need to get clarity. Because again, we could sit up here till 3 a.m, 2. And that was my question before we even looked at the motion again. Because we only had 4 people. If we went to a tie break all night, if there's no resolution, then where do we go? And we should be able to know that. Because it definitely influenced my vote, because I'm not going to sit up here all night either way, but I think we want to do it right. So where are we now?
The motion for vice president carried.
The next nomination is for the clerk.
I would like to make a nomination for trustee Little, for clerk.
I abstain.
She's a doctor.
Dr. Little.
She abstained.
I abstain. You can vote for someone who's not here and who does not have to declaratively accept, correct?
Correct.
So I'll nominate Sonia Lopez to serve as clerk.
I second the motion.
And if she declines, do we know what the next recourse is?
The board would have to come back and reconsider the item if she were to decline.
Roll call.
That sounds illogical with the way we just revisited.
The motion carries.
What was the next one, secretary?
That's it.
No,
We
you
already voted for secretary. Do we have to redo yours, Dr. Curry?
have to do 9.02, which is the School Trustees Association. You do 9.03, 9.04, 9.05, and 9.06.
So
You
I have,
reconsider it.
I have a question before we do that. When y'all were here, did you already vote on this one also and you named the people?
Yeah, we did,
Yes.
but since you reconsidered this item, we have to do it again. So if you want to go back to who was selected and vote and nominate those individuals, that could work.
I'd like to make a motion that whomever was selected before we select them again.
It was trustee Ramos.
So you have to make the motion first. So trustee Calhoun makes the motion, and second by trustee Dopplemore.
Yes.
Do we have to do them individually?
Yes.
Okay. So Ramos is 903?
902.
Okay.
And I was 903, so just because of time, I will nominate myself.
She had a vote, she had a vote first. She had a-
Please, yes, sorry,
Did you vote?
I am voting.
The motion carries for 9.02.
9.03, trustee Dopplemore has nominated herself. I will make it a second. Okay. Was you 904?
Motion carries.
I'd like to make a nomination that Dr. Little is 904 for the. She was it?
She was.
Okay, she was. She did. Okay, I made the motion and Dr. Moore seconded. Roll call.
The motion carries.
That's secretary. Secretary.
Oh, sorry. I made a motion to appoint. Sorry. Appoint Dr. Curry as the secretary.
And I second it.
Roll call.
The motion carries.
Thank you for the reconsideration.
We're not done.
What's the next one?
9.06, the board voted to have their board meetings on third Tuesday of each month.
Oh, yeah, 906. The third Tuesday. Have a motion? I make the motion that the board meetings be on the third Tuesday of every month. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Little.
At 5 p.m. start time
At 5 p.m. start time. Yes, ma'am.
for closed session.
Yes, Sylvia. Yes.
I have a question after we vote,
I asked it before.
not about this item.
Oh, okay. Roll call.
That was motion by trustee Calhoun and seconded by trustee Dopplemore.
No.
The other way around. Oh, seconded by Dr. Lowe.
That concludes the meeting.
I have a question.
The motion,
Dr. Little has a question.
She's not finished.
Oh, she did the vote.
that motion failed.
Why? It should be the majority, right?
It was 3.
Trustee Dopplemore,
You didn't
I
vote.
said no. No. I said nay.
right.
That's right.
Exactly.
You need 3.
Well, I mean, I thought it would be like the majority. Okay, can I change it? Can you put it back up?
You can do a verbal vote.
I just opened it again
Thank you.
for everybody though.
I'm not gonna abstain because I gotta go home.
It looked like everybody didn't want it on Tuesday.
They all voted on Tuesday except for me.
The motion carries.
Okay, the motion carries. I want to thank everybody for this long wait.
I have a question.
Oh, she has a Dr. Little has a question.
As we revisit it and as you got additional legal information, will you bring back to us? Because I want us to ensure that no matter the outcome, that this process was done accurately, because we ask about the question and some were answered after the fact and we had to revisit, and some of these questions were asked before the fact. So I still would like to know what the resolution is if you don't have odd number majority.
Correct. And we will have legal counsel provide legal opinion on that.
Can that be discussed at the board meeting? I mean, at the retreat this?
Well, it may revisit all the positions again. So that's why I want to know legally.
Oh,
what
you
the-
want to
what are
know
the
before the board
options?
retreat?
I don't know what the protocol is, but I think if the lawyer can't answer it, somebody needs to answer it. Because it dictates how we vote. The first vote, the second vote. People weren't here either, but it's multiple layers because it wasn't just one thing in isolation. It wasn't one position that you weren't here. So therefore people just went and chose. There were other nominees, but you didn't have, because we didn't know the information. But then the way everything fell out at the end, it was an even. It was 4. And so we either would have sat here all night, people could have had differences of thought, but the whole portion is that what happens and no one knows that answer. Like we found the answer. Dr. Curry's credit, he found the answer because we had already done an election and voted. And other people made decisions based upon that vote. Is what I'm saying.
Can I make the motion to adjourn? And we can.
We're really not. But yes, we are.
I mean, I'm talking about for this meeting. Can I make the motion to adjourn?
Yes, we are adjourned.
Gavel it, please.
Oh.